Have you ever wondered what truly defines intelligence? Is it the ability to use language, solve complex mathematical problems, or build vast cities that reshape the landscape? For centuries, human beings have unconsciously placed themselves at the center when judging the intelligence of every other living creature. But what if nature never intended intelligence to follow a single path? What if, somewhere beneath the deepest oceans, within silent ancient forests, or high above the wind-swept skies, there are minds that understand the world in ways entirely different from our own? Tonight, as the sounds of a busy day gradually fade into silence, we will set out together on a remarkable journey, not to discover which animal is the smartest, but to explore the countless ways life has learned to perceive, adapt to, and make sense of the world. Along the way, we will meet crows that craft tools like miniature engineers, octopuses that solve surprisingly complex puzzles, elephants that remember distant water sources after years apart, tiny honeybees that communicate the location of flowering fields through an elegant dance, and animals that cooperate, comfort one another, plan for the future, and even recognize themselves in a mirror. Carl Gustav Jung devoted his life to exploring the deepest layers of the human mind. He believed that the outer world often reflects the inner one, and that nature is filled with symbols capable of helping us better understand ourselves. Perhaps, as we observe the intelligence of other animals, we are also learning to see our own minds with greater humility. Intelligence does not have to resemble human intelligence in order to be genuine. Every species is the result of millions of years of evolution, and every brain represents a unique solution to the challenges its environment has presented. Throughout this journey, you will discover 100 fascinating facts about the intelligence of the animal kingdom. Yet, beyond the scientific discoveries, this is also a slow and peaceful voyage through the beauty of life itself, where each story gently opens another window onto nature, the mind, and humanity's place within the vast tapestry of our planet. If you enjoy stories about science, nature, and psychology, told in a calm, soothing rhythm that helps your mind unwind before sleep, then you've come to exactly the right place. Welcome to our channel, where every video is a gentle journey that brings you closer to the wonders of the natural world and the hidden depths of the human soul through the lens of Carl Gustav Jung. Before we begin, we'd love to invite you to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Your support not only helps us continue creating thoughtful, high-quality stories, but also allows more people to discover a quiet moment of peace amid the busyness of everyday life. And now, find a comfortable position, take a slow, deep breath in, and gently breathe out. Allow the thoughts of today to gradually dissolve into the stillness of the night. Our journey into the mysterious world of animal intelligence is about to begin. And perhaps, by the time this evening comes to an end, you will never look at the creatures around you in quite the same way again, but instead, with greater curiosity, deeper gratitude, and a profound sense of wonder for the extraordinary intelligence that nature has been quietly nurturing for millions of years. Part 1. Intelligence does not belong to humans alone. As night gradually settles across the world and the sounds of a long day begin to fade into silence, perhaps this is the perfect moment for us to set aside what feels familiar and look at the world through different eyes. From the time we are very young, most of us are taught that intelligence is the ability to reason, calculate, use language, or create great achievements. We admire minds capable of solving complex mathematical problems, inventions that reshape history, and civilizations that have carried humanity to the moon and revealed distant galaxies. Little by little, almost without realizing it, we begin to believe that intelligence has only one form, and that form is human. But what if, tonight, we set that familiar definition aside? What if intelligence is not a mountain that every living creature is struggling to climb, but instead a vast forest filled with countless different paths leading towards survival? Perhaps the question sounds simple, yet it has transformed the way scientists have viewed the natural world over the past several decades. For a very long time, humans judged other animals by using our own standards. We designed tests for the human brain, then seemed surprised when many species failed them. A fish cannot climb a tree. A bird cannot write words. An octopus cannot speak our language. And from that, we often concluded that they were less intelligent. But was that ever a fair comparison? Imagine the opposite. Suppose a dolphin required humans to navigate a pitch-black ocean using echolocation before declaring us intelligent. Suppose a honeybee expected us to memorize thousands of flowers scattered across an enormous meadow using nothing but the position of the sunday. Suppose a salmon demanded that we swim thousands of kilometers upstream to locate the exact river where we were born. Perhaps it would be human beings who failed those tests. That would not mean we lacked intelligence. It would simply mean we were designed to solve different kinds of problems. Nature never intended to create copies of humanity. Over more than 3 billion years of evolution, life has experimented with countless ways of surviving. Some creatures evolved enormous brains. Others possess brains no larger than a grain of rice. Some spend their entire lives alone. Others can survive only through cooperation with thousands or even millions of companions. Some perceive colors invisible to the human eye. Some hear sounds far beyond the limits of human hearing. Others can sense Earth's magnetic field, as though the planet itself were quietly whispering directions to them. Each of these abilities represents a form of intelligence. Not greater, not lesser, simply different. Carl Gustav Jung devoted much of his life to exploring the extraordinary diversity of the human mind. He recognized that people do not all think, feel, or mature in the same way. Every individual carries unique archetypes, experiences, and personal paths toward becoming who they truly are. If even members of the same species possess such remarkable psychological diversity, perhaps it is far too hasty to assume that millions of other species on Earth must all conform to a single model of intelligence. Perhaps the real question has never been whether animals are intelligent. Perhaps the problem is that we have been asking the wrong question. Instead of asking, is this species intelligent like humans? Perhaps we should ask, what challenges did this species evolve to solve? A cheetah does not need to count. It needs to calculate distance within a fraction of a second. An ant colony does not need to write. Yet millions of ants can construct astonishingly complex societies without a single leader giving orders. An octopus has no need to study history. Yet it can unscrew jars, remember intricate mazes, and change its strategy whenever circumstances change. Every living creature is a different answer to the same question, the question of survival. And the remarkable thing is that no two answers are exactly alike. Nature never follows a straight line. It resembles a vast forest filled with branching paths, where every species discovers the route best suited to its own existence. Perhaps that is why the natural world is so beautiful, not because everything is perfect, but because everything is wonderfully diverse. Within Jungian psychology lies another beautiful idea. True maturity does not come from trying to become someone else. It comes from discovering one's authentic self. Jung called this lifelong process individuation. When we observe nature, we see the very same principle expressed on a much grander scale. No species strives to become another. An eagle does not wish to become a dolphin. A dolphin does not wish to become a chimpanzee. A honeybee does not wish to become an elephant. Every species develops the abilities best suited to the environment in which it lives. Perhaps human beings are the ones most likely to forget this truth. We are accustomed to ranking, to comparing, to deciding who comes first. Nature, however, has never seemed interested in such rankings. A tiny honeybee may pollinate hundreds of flowers in a single day, helping sustain an entire forest. An earthworm quietly transforms the soil throughout its life. A wolf pack maintains balance among grazing animals. A whale transports nutrients across the oceans. Every creature performs a role that no other species can fully replace. That, too, is a form of intelligence. Not intelligence contained solely within a brain, but intelligence expressed through life's harmony with the entire ecosystem. In the chapters ahead, we will meet crows that craft tools, octopuses capable of solving puzzles, elephants that preserve memories for many years, honeybees that communicate through elegant dances, dolphins that call one another by unique names, ant colonies that function like collective minds, and countless other wonders that science continues to uncover. Each story will open another small door, not only toward understanding animals, but toward understanding ourselves, because sometimes the best way to explore the human mind is to quietly observe creatures that seem so different from us. As moonlight gently spreads across the forest, millions of living beings continue following the rhythms of their own lives. Some possess eyes capable of seeing colors that humanity will never experience. Some carry minds solving problems our species has never encountered. Some forms of intelligence have existed quietly for millions of years, while we have only begun to recognize them during the past few decades. And perhaps the very first lesson that the hidden world of animal intelligence invites us to learn is not a scientific fact at all. It is humility. The humility to recognize that human beings are not the only model of intelligence. That nature has never written just one story about what it means to be intelligent. Instead, it has been quietly composing millions of different stories, each possessing its own unique beauty, each deserving to be heard, and each forming an irreplaceable part of the magnificent symphony of life on Earth. Part 2. Brains that solve problems. When we think about intelligence, many of us imagine complex mathematics, sophisticated language, or the ability to build great civilizations. But within quiet forests, along rugged coastal cliffs, and beneath the crystal blue waters of the ocean, nature tells a very different story. There, intelligence is not measured by the size of a vocabulary or the grandeur of monumental achievements. Instead, it is measured by the ability to solve the endless challenges that life presents. Every day in the natural world is a problem waiting to be solved. How do you find food? How do you avoid becoming someone else's meal? How do you survive when the environment suddenly changes? And perhaps most remarkable of all, many animals do far more than simply react on instinct. They think, they experiment, they remember, and they create solutions of their own. Few creatures have surprised scientists quite as consistently as crows. In numerous experiments, crows have been presented with puzzles involving several consecutive steps. To earn a reward, they cannot simply perform a single action. They must understand that success depends upon completing each stage in exactly the right order. One crow may first use a short stick to retrieve a longer one. Only the longer stick can then reach a small basket of food, resting at the bottom of a transparent tube. The truly astonishing part is not that the bird uses a tool. It is that it appears to understand the relationship between each intermediate step and the final goal. This is no longer a simple reflex. It is the ability to connect separate events into a logical sequence. In human life, we call this planning or problem solving. When we observe the same kind of behavior in a bird, the boundary between human intelligence and animal intelligence suddenly becomes far less distinct. If crows amaze us with logical reasoning, octopuses reveal an entirely different dimension of intelligence. One built upon remarkable flexibility, armed with 8 extraordinarily sensitive arms and a highly unusual nervous system. Octopuses can unscrew jar lids to reach food inside, escape aquariums that appear completely sealed, and invent new strategies whenever they encounter unfamiliar obstacles. Some captive octopuses have become famous for repeatedly forcing caretakers to reinforce their tanks after discovering how to unlatch locks or squeeze through astonishingly narrow openings to explore neighboring aquariums. What makes this especially fascinating is that an octopus's brain is fundamentally different from that of any vertebrate. Its evolutionary journey has been almost entirely separate, yet nature arrived at a surprisingly familiar destination: the capacity to learn, to adapt, to solve problems. It reminds us that intelligence does not have to arise from the same biological blueprint. Sometimes, entirely different evolutionary paths arrive at remarkably similar abilities, as though life continually discovers multiple ways to answer the very same question. One of the most celebrated examples of creativity in the animal kingdom belongs to the New Caledonian crow. In the wild, these birds regularly snap twigs, trim leaves, or shape small branches into simple hooks that allow them to extract insects hidden deep within narrow crevices in wood. In laboratory experiments, some individuals have gone even further. When no suitable tool was available, they bent pieces of wire into hooks of exactly the right shape. It is an extraordinary moment, because the tool is not merely used, it is created. And the creation of tools has long been regarded as one of the defining milestones in the evolution of intelligence. Not because the hook itself is especially complicated, but because it demonstrates something profound. A brain can imagine an object that does not yet exist, and then transform that idea into reality. Ravens, close relatives of crows, offer yet another perspective on intelligence. In several studies, ravens have demonstrated the ability to save an appropriate tool for use the following day instead of exchanging it immediately for a less valuable but instantly available reward. This behavior suggests that they may weigh present benefits against future ones, an ability once believed to belong almost exclusively to humans and a small number of other primates. To wait, to sacrifice an immediate reward, to prepare for something that has not yet happened. These are qualities that invite us to reconsider how we define intelligence itself. High in the mountains of New Zealand lives another remarkable thinker, the kea parrot. Kea are famous for their endless curiosity. They delight in exploring unfamiliar objects, taking things apart, and experimenting with different ways to solve the very same problem. During cognitive tests, kea rarely repeat the same unsuccessful action over and over again. If one strategy fails, they quickly attempt another. That flexibility is enormously valuable in the wild, where no two situations are ever exactly alike. Perhaps the greatest strength of intelligence is not always knowing the correct answer. Perhaps it is never giving up on discovering a new one. Another member of the parrot family, the cockatoo, has astonished researchers with its ability to open puzzle boxes secured by multiple locking mechanisms. Some boxes require pulling a pin, then turning a latch, sliding a bolt, and only afterward lifting the lid. After repeated observation and careful experimentation, certain cockatoos learn the entire sequence. Even more remarkable is what happens next. Once one bird masters the puzzle, others can simply watch and learn. One idea can spread, one solution can become knowledge shared by an entire community. This is the foundation of social learning. A remarkable phenomenon we will encounter again later in our journey. Carl Gustav Jung believed that the mind is not a static structure, but a living system, constantly seeking balance, adaptation, and wholeness. As we observe the small yet astonishing brains of crows, octopuses, and parrots, we seem to witness that very principle unfolding throughout nature. Life does not survive by endlessly repeating yesterday's behavior. Life survives because it changes when circumstances change. Perhaps that is also one of nature's gentlest lessons for us. We often imagine intelligence as always having the right answer. Nature quietly whispers something different. Intelligence may be the courage to try again after failure, the patience to observe before acting, the wisdom to remember what experience has already taught, and the creativity to discover a new path when the old one no longer leads forward. As night slowly settles across the forest, the crows return to their familiar branches. The parrots grow quiet beneath the fading light of dusk. Far below the ocean's surface, the octopus retreats silently into its rocky shelter among the reefs. Each carries with it the lessons gathered throughout another day, as though every small brain continues, in its own quiet way, refining its solutions to life's endless puzzles. And perhaps, as we watch them in silence, we begin to realize that intelligence has never simply meant knowing more. Sometimes, it is simply the ability to adapt, to create, and to keep learning in a world that never stops changing. Part 3. Extraordinary memories. If intelligence helps a creature solve the challenges of the present, then memory is the bridge that connects the past with the future. Every decision made in the natural world carries, in one way or another, the imprint of what came before. A path leading to fresh water, a meadow that once bloomed with flowers, a forest where a predator was encountered, or a familiar face that once brought safety. Each becomes a quiet fragment of experience, shaping the choices made today. Perhaps that is why memory is more than the ability to store information. It is the way life learns from time itself. For centuries, people believed that memory was a privilege reserved almost entirely for large brains. Yet, the more scientists explored the animal kingdom, the clearer it became that memory exists in many different forms. Nature has never built just one system for storing experience. Instead, each species has evolved the kind of memory best suited to the challenges of its own life. Let us begin with something that may surprise many people. Fish can recognize human faces. In several studies, species such as the archerfish have been trained to distinguish human faces displayed on computer screens. Remarkably, they do not merely recognize a few simple images. They can accurately tell one face from another, even after obvious visual cues, such as hairstyle or head shape, have been removed. This reminds us that facial recognition does not require a brain built like our own. It simply requires a brain capable of solving the problem that life has presented. Elsewhere in the world, dogs have lived alongside humans for tens of thousands of years. Throughout that long partnership, some individuals have developed the ability to remember hundreds of different words. Research on herding breeds, especially the border collie, has shown that these remarkable dogs can associate spoken names with specific toys, remember those associations over long periods of time, and even learn new words through a process of elimination, much like young children gradually expanding their vocabulary. Perhaps what moves us most is not the number of words they remember, but what each word represents. A familiar call, an invitation to play, a shared moment between two companions. If dogs remember through sound and social bonds, sheep have surprised scientists with an impressive ability to remember faces. They can recognize dozens, even hundreds of individual sheep within their flock over remarkably long periods. Some studies have also shown that sheep are capable of distinguishing human faces in visual recognition tests. Within a large flock, that ability is profoundly important. To recognize a mother, a lamb, a trusted companion, or a stranger, memory becomes the invisible thread that keeps the community together. Perhaps in the natural world, memory has never served only the individual. It also preserves relationships. One of the most fascinating discoveries of recent decades comes from the cuttlefish. Researchers have found that cuttlefish possess what scientists describe as what, where, when memory. They remember not only what kind of food they found, but where they found it, and when it is most worthwhile to return. This closely resembles what, in humans, is known as episodic memory, a memory that stores more than an image. It preserves an entire experience. Among the pine forests of North America, the Clark's nutcracker tells another remarkable story about memory. Every autumn, these birds hide thousands of seeds across hundreds of different locations, creating food stores for the coming winter. Months later, after deep snow has covered the landscape, they are still able to recover the vast majority of those hidden caches. Imagine carrying an enormous map inside a brain weighing only a few grams. No paper, no compass, no satellite navigation, only memory. It is a level of spatial memory that scientists continue to study with fascination. Then there are pigeons, faithful companions to humanity's postal systems for centuries. Even when transported hundreds of kilometers from home to completely unfamiliar places, many pigeons still manage to return to their lofts. They navigate by combining many different sources of information: the position of the Sunday, landmarks across the landscape, Earth's magnetic field, and countless subtle environmental cues. Their memory is not simply a single route. It is an entire map of the world. Perhaps that is why the journey home has always been one of memory's most beautiful symbols. Even the humble goldfish has finally been freed from one of the most persistent myths about animal intelligence. For many years, people believed goldfish remembered only a few fleeting seconds. Modern research tells a very different story. Goldfish can learn mazes, remember routes, and retain those memories for far longer than anyone once imagined. Sometimes, our greatest mistake is not what we do not know, but how confidently we believe what we have always been told. Flowing from mountain streams to the open sea, salmon carry perhaps one of nature's most extraordinary memories of all. After spending years roaming the vast ocean, they somehow return to the very river in which they were born to reproduce. Scientists believe that during early life, young salmon memorize the unique chemical fingerprint of their home river through an extraordinarily sensitive sense of smell. That invisible scent remains with them for years, a silent compass guiding them back to where everything began. It is difficult not to be moved by such an image. A small creature, carrying the memory of its birthplace, spending an entire lifetime finding its way home. Perhaps it is one of nature's most beautiful symbols of belonging. Across the dry grasslands of Africa, elephants depend upon yet another remarkable kind of memory. Older matriarchs often remember the locations of water sources they discovered many years earlier. During severe droughts, that knowledge can determine the survival of the entire herd. One memory can save generations. It is no coincidence that elephants have become symbols of wisdom in so many cultures, not because they know more than every other animal, but because they carry the history of an entire community within their memories. Carl Gustav Jung devoted much of his life's work to exploring memory not only at the personal level, but at a far deeper psychological one. He proposed that every human being carries within the psyche traces accumulated across countless generations, a concept he called the collective unconscious. Although this idea differs from the biological memory found in animals, both point toward the same beautiful truth. Life carries its past forward in order to shape its future. Perhaps memory has never been simply about remembering. It is about continuing the journey, continuing the connection, continuing the patterns that have allowed life to endure through countless seasons. As night gradually settles over the landscape, the birds return quietly to their nests. The elephants move silently toward familiar watering holes, and beneath the ocean's surface, salmon continue carrying within them the memory of the river where their lives first began. Every creature preserves its own history in its own unique way, and perhaps, as we listen to these quiet stories, we begin to understand that memory is far more than a gift of the brain. It is the invisible thread that binds the past to the present, the individual to home, home to family, family to community, and all living beings to the extraordinary journey that life has been patiently writing for millions of years. Part 4. Tools and creativity. For a very long time, humans have regarded the creation of tools as one of the defining milestones that set us apart from the rest of the natural world. Stone axes, bone-tipped spears, and the first wooden wheels are often celebrated as the opening chapters in the story of human civilization. For many years, scientists also believed that only humans possessed the ability to imagine a tool that did not yet exist, create it, and pass that knowledge on to future generations. But as we began observing nature with patience instead of preconceptions, a far more beautiful truth slowly emerged. Creativity was never ours alone. It has quietly existed all along in dense forests, along rocky shorelines, beneath the ocean's surface, and among countless creatures we once assumed acted only through instinct. Deep within the tropical forests of Africa, chimpanzees often sit patiently before a termite mound. Rather than smashing the mound apart with brute force, they snap off a slender branch, carefully strip away its leaves, and slide the smooth stick into the termite's narrow tunnels. Within moments, the defending termites cling tightly to the stick. The chimpanzee gently withdraws it and calmly enjoys its meal. At first glance, the behavior seems remarkably simple, but if we look more closely, we discover an entire sequence of thought unfolding behind it. Choosing the right material, adjusting its length, removing unnecessary parts, placing the tool precisely where it is needed, waiting, only then, collecting the reward. This is no longer an automatic response. It is a purposeful process. Perhaps what astonishes researchers even more than the use of tools is how young chimpanzees acquire these skills. They spend years watching experienced adults. The knowledge is not present at birth. It is passed from one generation to the next, like a small cultural inheritance quietly preserved within the forest. Along coastlines blanketed with seaweed, sea otters tell a different story of creativity. When they find shellfish protected by thick, stubborn shells, they do not attempt to crush them with their teeth. Instead, they float peacefully on their backs, place a stone upon their chests like a tiny anvil, and repeatedly strike the shell against the rock until it finally breaks open. One stone, one chest, one meal. Ordinary objects, combined in just the right way, become the perfect tool. Perhaps creativity rarely begins with something extraordinary. More often, it begins with seeing a new purpose in something already familiar. In the forests of South America, capuchin monkeys use stones in a way all their own. They carefully choose rocks of just the right weight and use them to crack open exceptionally hard nuts. After years of observation, scientists noticed that young capuchins spend long periods simply watching older individuals. They imitate how the stone is selected, how the nut is positioned, even the amount of force used with each strike. It reminds us that skill is built not only upon intelligence, but also upon the patience to learn. One of the most famous studies involving primate learning centered around small metal tokens. In research settings, some capuchin monkeys learned to use these objects as a kind of currency that could be exchanged for food. Once they understood the rules of exchange, they began making different choices depending on the value of the available rewards. This does not mean they understand economics as humans do, but it demonstrates that their brains can learn entirely new systems of rules and apply them with remarkable flexibility. Across the wetlands of Africa, gorillas have occasionally been observed using long branches as walking sticks, probing the depth of water before crossing. The action appears effortless, yet it reflects an important cognitive ability, using an object outside the body to extend one's own perception. The stick is more than a tool. It becomes an extension of the senses, a bridge between the unknown and safety. Chimpanzees have surprised scientists even further when certain wild populations were observed crafting simple spears from branches. They remove the leaves, sharpen one end, and use the weapon to hunt small animals hiding inside tree cavities. Though these spears remain extremely primitive, they represent an important evolutionary step. Tools are no longer used merely to gather available food. They expand the hunter's abilities themselves, far beneath the ocean's surface, where sunlight gradually fades into darkness. Bottlenose dolphins, living along parts of Australia's coastline, display another remarkable innovation. They collect natural sea sponges and wear them over their snouts while searching for prey hidden beneath sandy seafloors scattered with sharp shells and rocks. The sponge acts like protective armor, preventing injuries while they forage. Even more fascinating, this behavior is passed primarily from mother to calf. Not every dolphin knows how to do it, only those who have learned. Once again, Nature reminds us that knowledge can be preserved through observation and experience, not only through genes. If dolphins use tools to protect themselves, octopuses have become famous for something equally remarkable: their ability to change hunting strategies. When one approach proves unsuccessful, they often attempt another. They exploit the landscape, alter their body coloration, wait patiently, or approach prey from an entirely different direction. Each failure seems to become a lesson for the next attempt. Perhaps this is one of intelligence's most beautiful expressions. Not never failing, but knowing how to change after failure. Carl Gustav Jung devoted much of his work to understanding how human beings mature through lived experience. He believed psychological growth does not occur by endlessly repeating familiar patterns, but by confronting the unknown, learning from experience, and gradually expanding our awareness of both ourselves and the world around us. As we watch animals use, modify, and improve their tools, we glimpse that same principle unfolding throughout nature. Life does not endure through rigidity. It flourishes because it experiments, because it adapts, because it remembers what works. Perhaps the greatest wonder is not the chimpanzee's stick, the sea otter's stone, or the dolphin's sponge. It is the mind that imagined how each could be used. One small idea can completely transform the way a creature survives. And once that idea is passed to the next generation, it no longer belongs to a single individual. It becomes part of the history of an entire species. As night slowly settles over the forest and the sea grows calm beneath the fading light, those simple sticks, stones, and branches remain scattered across the landscape, appearing no different from countless other ordinary objects. Yet to creatures that know how to observe and how to learn, they are far more than lifeless things. They are answers to the questions life has been asking for millions of years. And perhaps, as we quietly reflect upon these humble tools, we begin to understand that creativity has never been a gift reserved for humanity alone. It is an ancient language of life itself, written through curiosity, through memory, through adaptation, and through the quiet yet enduring determination shared by every living creature striving to survive in a world that never stops changing. Part 5. Language and communication. Perhaps nothing has filled humanity with greater pride than language. It is language that has allowed us to preserve the past, share our dreams, pass knowledge from one generation to the next, and build vast civilizations. From a mother's gentle lullaby to stories told around the glow of a fire, to books that have changed the course of history, everything begins with our ability to transform thoughts into signals that another mind can understand. For a very long time, we believed this was a gift possessed by humans alone. But as scientists began listening to the natural world with more sophisticated instruments and with greater humility, they discovered something extraordinary. Nature has been holding conversations all along, not in human words, but through countless communication systems shaped by millions of years of evolution, each perfectly suited to the lives of the species that created them. If there is one animal that transformed our understanding of communication, it is the dolphin. Over decades of research, marine biologists discovered that each bottlenose dolphin typically develops a distinctive whistle during its early life. This sound remains remarkably stable throughout adulthood, and other dolphins use it to call that specific individual. Researchers refer to these vocalizations as signature whistles, acoustic signatures that function in much the same way as human names. Imagine a vast ocean, a world where faces cannot be recognized across great distances, where there is no writing, no maps, only sound, and amid the endless rhythm of the waves, each individual can still call precisely the companion it is searching for. It is an extraordinarily refined system of recognition, one that nature quietly perfected long before we ever understood it. In an entirely different world, among fields overflowing with wildflowers, honeybees perform one of the most remarkable communication systems humanity has ever discovered. When a worker bee finds a rich source of nectar, she returns to the hive and performs the famous waggle dance, a behavior painstakingly studied by the biologist Carl von Frisch. The angle of the dance relative to vertical indicates the direction of the flowers in relation to the sunday. Meanwhile, the duration of the waggle and the distance traveled during the dance communicate how far away the food source lies. Not a single spoken word, not a single map, yet the entire colony understands exactly where it should fly. It reminds us that communication does not have to resemble human language. Information simply needs to be transmitted and correctly understood. One of the most extraordinary individuals in the history of animal cognition was an African grey parrot named Alex. Working alongside psychologist Irene Pepperberg for more than 30 years, Alex did far more than imitate sounds. He learned the names of numerous objects, colors, shapes, and quantities. When asked about a particular object, Alex could respond with the appropriate word, instead of merely repeating sounds like a recording. What mattered most was not the number of words Alex knew, but the fact that he appeared to understand the meaning behind at least some of them. In this case, language became more than sound. It became a bridge connecting perception with the world itself. Far out in the deep ocean, sperm whales tell another remarkable story about communication. They communicate using short sequences of clicks, known as codas. What makes these vocal patterns especially fascinating is that sperm whale groups living in different regions possess distinct coda traditions, almost like regional dialects in human language. These differences are not determined by genes. They are learned through life within the community. That observation opens the door to a beautiful possibility. Perhaps culture does not belong exclusively to humanity. If language reflects community, then perhaps every clan of sperm whales preserves its own identity through the sounds it shares. In everyday life, perhaps no animal lives more closely alongside humans than the domestic dog. Across thousands of years of companionship, dogs have developed an extraordinary ability to understand human signals from our voices and pointing gestures to the emotions reflected upon our faces. Some individuals can learn hundreds of spoken words and distinguish them with astonishing accuracy. Yet perhaps the greatest wonder is this: dogs do not listen only with their ears. They listen through relationships. A person's voice is not merely a sound. It is trust, memory, affection built over years of companionship. Within the forests of Japan, the tiny Japanese tit has surprised scientists in another remarkable way. These birds can combine different calls to create entirely new meanings. One sequence may signal, "Stay alert," but when another sound is added, the message becomes something closer to, "Come here and look with me." Meaning does not reside only in individual sounds. It also emerges from the way those sounds are arranged, a principle strikingly similar to the way human language itself works. Across the vast grasslands of North America, prairie dogs possess an alarm system of astonishing complexity. Numerous studies suggest that their calls vary according to the kind of predator approaching, its size, its speed, and even certain aspects of its appearance. For the colony, each call is far more than a cry of fear. It is information, and the more precise the information, the greater the chance of survival. Within the icy waters of the Arctic, the beluga whale offers yet another extraordinary surprise. Some belugas, living under human care, have demonstrated the remarkable ability to imitate the rhythm and pitch of human speech so convincingly that listeners briefly believed someone was actually talking beneath the water. Of course, belugas do not speak human language, but this extraordinary vocal flexibility reveals just how adaptable their sound-producing system truly is. It reminds us that the boundary between impossible and possible in nature is often far more delicate than we once imagined. Carl Gustav Jung once wrote in Symbols of Transformation, "The symbol is the expression of a thing which cannot be characterized in any other or better way." For Jung, symbols formed a bridge between experiences that could not be fully expressed through words and the conscious human mind. As we observe the natural world, we begin to recognize that every species creates symbols of its own. A whistle, a dance, a sequence of clicks, a simple gesture. Each carries meaning within its own community. They need not resemble human language to become meaningful forms of communication. Perhaps the greatest lesson these stories offer is not that animals possess language exactly like ours. Rather, they remind us that communication has always existed in far more forms than humanity once imagined. Sometimes, a glance is a greeting, a gentle touch is comfort. A call echoing across the ocean can carry an entire lifetime of companionship. As the night grows quieter and quieter, if you listen carefully, you may realize that the world has never truly been silent. Beyond your window, a small bird is still calling to its mate. Across distant oceans, pods of whales continue exchanging their deep, resonant voices. Within a tiny beehive, thousands of individuals understand one another through graceful movements. And somewhere in a dark forest, a wolf or perhaps a faithful dog is quietly listening for the familiar call of its own kind. Nature has never stopped speaking. For so many years, it was simply we humans who listened only with our own ears, forgetting that every species possesses its own language for telling the story of life. And perhaps, as we learn to listen to those languages with patience and humility, we also learn to listen more deeply to the quiet world within ourselves. Part 6. Learning and culture. For much of scientific history, a single idea shaped the way people understood animal behavior. Most behaviors, it was believed, were governed almost entirely by instinct. According to this view, every animal entered the world already equipped with everything it needed to survive. It simply grew older and repeated the behaviors that evolution had programmed over millions of years. It was a simple explanation, and for a long time, it seemed remarkably convincing. Yet the longer scientists observed nature, the more complex the picture became. Many animals do not live solely by what they inherit through their genes. They learn from their parents, from members of their own group, from their own mistakes, and from knowledge accumulated across generations. In a very real sense, nature has its own history, its own traditions, and its own wisdom that can be passed forward only through companionship between generations. If memory preserves the experiences of an individual, then culture is the shared memory of an entire community. Perhaps nowhere is this more clearly illustrated than in the tropical forests where chimpanzees live. Among different chimpanzee populations across Africa, researchers have discovered that not every group uses the same tools or the same methods for obtaining food. Some populations use sticks to fish termites from their nests. Others crack hard nuts with carefully chosen stones. Still others have developed entirely different techniques. Remarkably, these differences are not explained by anatomy. They are learned. Young chimpanzees are not born knowing how to use tools. They spend countless hours sitting beside their mothers, watching quietly, trying, failing, trying again. Some skills require many years before they are fully mastered. That long apprenticeship feels strangely familiar. Many of life's greatest lessons do not come from books. They come from sitting beside someone who came before us, watching their hands at work, and gradually learning things that words alone could never fully explain. Far out across the open ocean, whales tell remarkably similar stories. Certain whale populations have developed highly specialized hunting techniques that neighboring groups do not possess. Some work together to create great circles of bubbles that trap schools of fish before the whales surge upward through the center with open mouths. What makes this behavior so remarkable is that young whales are not born knowing how to perform it. They learn by watching experienced adults repeat the technique season after season. One skill, passed forward, not through genes, but through experience. Suddenly, the meaning of the word culture becomes much broader than we once imagined. If hunting techniques can be inherited through learning, then perhaps music can as well. Among humpback whales, scientists have discovered that males within the same population often sing nearly identical songs. Even more fascinating, those songs do not remain unchanged. Over time, new phrases appear. They spread gradually from one whale to another, until eventually the entire population is singing the same evolving melody. Imagine that for a moment. In the darkness of the open sea, a new song is born, quietly drifting across thousands of kilometers of ocean. No one gives an order, no one forces anyone to learn it. Yet the entire community gradually adopts it, remembers it, preserves it. It is one of nature's most beautiful portraits of culture unfolding. Another remarkable story comes from killer whales. Different populations around the world possess strikingly different hunting traditions. Some specialize in catching fish, others hunt seals. Still others cooperate to generate powerful waves that wash unsuspecting prey from floating sheets of ice. These hunting techniques reflect more than local environments. They are passed from mothers to their offspring over many years. This means that two groups of killer whales belonging to the same species but living in different oceans may grow up with completely different traditions, much like human communities carrying their own unique customs. One of the most famous examples of cultural transmission in animals emerged in Japan during the middle of the 20th century. Researchers observed a young female Japanese macaque named Emo begin carrying sweet potatoes to a nearby stream to wash away the sand before eating them. At first, she alone performed this behavior, but other monkeys watched. They imitated her. Gradually, the habit spread throughout the troop. Eventually, generations of young monkeys grew up believing that washing sweet potatoes was simply the normal way to eat them. The unforgettable part of this story is not the potato, it is the idea. A single new idea can spread, can endure, can become tradition. Across the deserts of Africa, meerkats reveal yet another remarkable form of teaching. Adults do not simply bring food back to their pups. They carefully adjust the difficulty of each lesson. At first, they present scorpions whose stingers have already been removed. As the young meerkats grow older, adults gradually introduce live scorpions, allowing them to practice handling increasingly dangerous prey. It is almost as though they understand that learning must happen step by step. The resemblance to the way humans teach children is striking. We do not begin with the greatest challenge. We build a path that allows ability to grow. Along the coast of Australia, certain bottlenose dolphins use sea sponges to protect their snouts while searching for prey hidden beneath the seafloor. What makes this behavior especially fascinating is that the technique is passed primarily from mothers to daughters. Not every dolphin knows how to use a sponge, only those raised within that tradition. Once again, nature reminds us that knowledge does not always reside in genes. Sometimes, it lives within relationships, within time spent together, within years of shared experience. Carl Gustav Jung once wrote in The Structure and Dynamics of the Psyche, "The least of things with a meaning is worth more in life than the greatest of things without it." His words remind us that the value of an action lies not in its complexity, but in the meaning it carries. As we observe the natural world, we find that same truth everywhere. A chimpanzee's simple stick, a dolphin's sponge, a Japanese macaque washing a sweet potato. Each is an ordinary act, yet behind each one lies a history of learning, of knowledge passed forward, and of the quiet belief that what is learned today may help the next generation thrive tomorrow. Perhaps this is where the boundary between humanity and the rest of nature grows thinner than ever before. For what defines a culture is not merely libraries or cities. It is the ability to pass experience onward, to share knowledge, to preserve the lessons that time has already tested. As night gradually settles over both forest and sea, the young continue following the older members of their communities. They learn where to find food, how to avoid danger, the sounds, the gestures, and the countless small secrets that no book could ever fully record. Within that quietness, nature tells us a beautiful story. Knowledge is not only created, it is protected by the patience of those who came before. and by the curiosity of those who follow after, and perhaps that is one of intelligence's deepest expressions. Not simply knowing for oneself, but knowing how to pass wisdom onward, allowing life itself to continue growing through every new generation. Part 7. Social intelligence. Throughout much of history, humanity has believed that what makes us truly extraordinary is not simply our intelligence, but our ability to build communities. We live within families, neighborhoods, cities, and civilizations woven together through the cooperation of millions of people who may never meet one another. For that reason, many scientists once assumed that social intelligence was a gift, belonging almost exclusively to humans. Yet the longer they observed the natural world with patience, the more they discovered that throughout forests, grasslands, and oceans, stories of friendship, cooperation, compassion, and the quiet art of maintaining relationships have existed for far longer than we ever imagined. They have endured as quietly and as faithfully as life itself. If intelligence helps an individual survive, then social intelligence helps an entire community survive. Perhaps that is one of evolution's greatest inventions. Deep within the tropical forests of Africa lives the bonobo, one of humanity's closest living relatives. Yet what fascinates researchers most is not simply the structure of the bonobo's brain. It is the way bonobos resolve conflict. After disputes over food or disagreements within the group, they often move quickly to repair damaged relationships through friendly gestures, physical contact, or the sharing of food. The remarkable thing is not that conflict never occurs. It is that they seem to understand a simple truth. No community can endure if every disagreement lasts forever. Reconciliation is itself a form of intelligence, the wisdom to place the future of the group above the emotions of a single moment. Across the forests and northern plains of the world, wolves tell a different story about the strength of community. A lone wolf rarely succeeds in bringing down large prey, but together, the pack becomes something far greater than the sum of its members. Each wolf assumes a different role. One pursues, another blocks the escape route. A third waits patiently for precisely the right moment to join the hunt. Success belongs not to the strongest individual, but to the entire pack. Perhaps nature understood long ago that some challenges can only be overcome when many minds work together. Among troops of baboons, social life becomes even more intricate. Baboons recognize every individual within the troop, but they also remember something far more complex. Who outranks whom? Who is allied with whom? Who is whose mother? Who is likely to support whom during a conflict? Their minds contain an extraordinarily detailed map of social relationships. Perhaps within large communities, strength is not always the most valuable quality. Sometimes, the greatest advantage lies in understanding the invisible connections that bind everyone together. Spotted hyenas are often misunderstood as little more than scavengers fighting over scraps. Long-term studies reveal a very different reality. Hyena societies are built upon enduring alliances. Individuals with stronger and more stable social relationships tend to survive longer and reproduce more successfully. They support one another during conflicts, protect one another's young, and help maintain the stability of the clan. Here, friendship is more than an emotion. It is a strategy for survival. Yet that strategy succeeds only when it is built upon long-term trust. Across the African savanna, lionesses demonstrate another remarkable form of cooperation. When hunting powerful antelope or massive buffalo, each lioness assumes a different position. One stalks quietly from the front. Others circle along the flanks. Still others wait patiently for the decisive moment. What makes these hunts especially extraordinary is that no one gives commands. There is no leader shouting instructions. The coordination emerges naturally from experience, observation, and trust shared among members of the pride. Perhaps when a community becomes deeply connected, many things no longer need to be spoken aloud. Among elephants, social intelligence reveals an even gentler side. Numerous observations show that when one elephant is injured, frightened, or mourning the loss of a calf, others often approach quietly. They gently touch the distressed individual with their trunks, remain beside them for hours, or stand together to offer protection. These actions provide no immediate material reward. They are acts of care, expressions of empathy. Perhaps nature planted the first seeds of compassion long before humans ever found words to describe it. Even animals that appear quiet and solitary, such as giraffes, have their own subtle social bonds. Recent research suggests that giraffes are far less solitary than once believed. Many individuals repeatedly choose to travel alongside the same companions, forming stable relationships that endure over time. Closeness does not always require dramatic expressions. Sometimes, it simply means choosing to walk in the same direction. Across grasslands and farms, cattle have also surprised scientists. Behavioral studies reveal that cows develop preferred companions. When allowed to remain beside their closest friends, their stress levels decline. When separated, they display clear signs of anxiety. It gently reminds us of something deeply familiar. Perhaps the feeling of peace that comes from standing beside someone we trust is not uniquely human after all. Carl Gustav Jung once wrote in Modern Man, In Search of a Soul, "The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed." For Jung, every meaningful encounter has the power to change us. As we observe the animal kingdom, we begin to recognize that same truth. A young elephant grows through the care of the herd. A young wolf learns cooperation during its first hunts. A young bonobo learns reconciliation after conflict. Compassion is passed forward. Trust is learned. Community becomes the classroom. No individual truly matures entirely alone. Perhaps that is one of life's most universal laws. Social intelligence is not the ability to control others. It is the ability to live with others, to know when to lead, to know when to step back, to know when someone else needs help, and to recognize when we ourselves need help. Perhaps, in an increasingly noisy world, the lesson nature offers us is surprisingly simple. A lasting community is not built solely through the strength of its most exceptional individuals. It is built through countless small acts of cooperation, through trust, through memories shared between companions, and through quiet acts of care that often go unnoticed. As night gently settles across the forests, the wolf pack lies close together after a long day's hunt. The elephants continue standing in a protective circle around their youngest members. Far out upon the open savanna, familiar giraffes walk side by side beneath a sky filled with stars. And somewhere deep within the rainforest, the bonobos have already brought the day's conflicts to a peaceful close through reconciliation. Nature has never taught us only how to be strong. It has also taught us that the greatest strength sometimes lies not in the ability to triumph alone, but in the ability to continue the journey together. And perhaps that is one of the deepest forms of intelligence that life has quietly preserved through millions of years of evolution. Part 8. Self-awareness. Perhaps one of the oldest and most profound questions humanity has ever asked is not, "What is this world?" but rather, "Who am I?" From the philosophers of ancient civilizations to the discoveries of modern psychology, the search for the self has long been regarded as one of consciousness's greatest adventures. Carl Gustav Jung devoted nearly his entire life to exploring that journey. He believed that human beings do not exist merely to adapt to the external world. We are also called to gradually discover ourselves, confront the hidden regions of the unconscious, and move toward what he described as individuation, the lifelong process of becoming our authentic selves. For many years, self-awareness was considered a uniquely human achievement. Then science placed mirrors before the natural world, and nature once again invited us to reconsider. What happens when a living creature sees its own reflection? Does it believe another individual is standing before it? Or does it recognize that the face looking back is its own, a simple mirror, an ordinary object, yet one that opens the door to one of the deepest mysteries of the mind. For decades, scientists have relied on a famous experiment known as the mirror self-recognition test, often simply called the mirror test. A small colored mark is placed on an animal's body where it cannot be seen directly. The animal is then allowed to observe itself in a mirror. If it uses the reflection to inspect or touch the mark on its own body, researchers consider this evidence that it understands the reflected image is not another individual, but itself. Of course, the mirror test is not a perfect measure for every species. Today, many scientists believe that self-awareness may exist in many different forms. Even so, the experiment continues to raise an extraordinary question. How many living creatures truly know that they exist? Among the first animals to leave a lasting impression were elephants. When standing before a mirror large enough to reflect their entire bodies, some elephants showed neither aggression nor attempts to interact with the reflection as though another elephant were present. Instead, they carefully examined themselves. They shifted their bodies into different positions and gently reached with their trunks toward the colored mark placed upon their own heads. It creates a beautiful image, a magnificent creature, standing silently before a mirror, not to admire itself, but to recognize itself. Perhaps, in that quiet moment, the distance between humanity and the rest of nature becomes smaller than we ever imagined. Across the vast ocean, dolphins have offered similar observations. When introduced to mirrors, they often spend long periods turning their bodies, inspecting different parts of themselves, and examining unusual markings. Researchers have noted that these behaviors differ from the way dolphins normally react when encountering another dolphin. Instead, they resemble self-exploration, curiosity directed inward, rather than outward toward the surrounding world. It is fascinating to imagine that in the depths of the ocean where no natural mirrors exist, the dolphin's brain is nevertheless flexible enough to grasp the meaning of a reflection. One of the most surprising discoveries came from an entirely different branch of the animal kingdom, the Eurasian magpie. Bird brains differ dramatically from those of mammals. For many years, scientists assumed such a different brain structure could not produce cognitive abilities associated with self-recognition. Yet in several studies, magpies displayed behaviors consistent with passing the mirror test. The lesson is a familiar one. Nature rarely follows only a single path toward intelligence. Different structures can arrive at remarkably similar abilities. An even more controversial story comes from the cleaner wrasse, a small reef fish famous for removing parasites from much larger fish. In several experiments, cleaner wrasses also displayed behaviors suggesting they used mirrors to inspect colored marks placed on their own bodies. The findings sparked lively debate throughout the scientific community. Were they truly recognizing themselves, or simply responding to an unfamiliar visual signal? Even today, there is no universal agreement. Perhaps that uncertainty is beautiful in its own way. Science grows not only through answers, but through questions. Even pigs, animals that have long been underestimated in discussions of intelligence, have prompted researchers to reconsider old assumptions. In experiments where mirrors were used to reveal the location of hidden food, many pigs learned to interpret the reflected image and use it to navigate toward the reward. Although this does not mean they passed the mirror test for self-recognition, it demonstrates something equally fascinating. Their brains understood the relationship between the reflected image and real physical space. That too is a remarkable form of awareness. Understanding that an image is not merely an image, but information, a meaningful part of reality. Perhaps, when discussing self-awareness, the most important question is not whether a species passes the mirror test. After all, mirrors are objects designed by humans, and humans rely heavily upon vision. But what of animals whose worlds are shaped primarily through smell, or sound, or Earth's magnetic field? Perhaps many of them would never care about reflections in the way we do. Maybe the better question is not which animals recognize themselves in a mirror, but rather, to what extent does each species understand its own body? and its own existence. Carl Gustav Jung once wrote in Memories, Dreams, Reflections, "Your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside, dreams. Who looks inside, awakes." For Jung, the greatest human journey was never the conquest of the outer world. It was the gradual turning inward to discover oneself. As we observe animals standing before mirrors, we should not rush to assume they experience the same psychological process that humans do. Yet these studies gently remind us of something even deeper. Self-awareness may not be a door that is simply open or closed. Perhaps it is a continuum, a spectrum with many different levels of awareness. Some creatures recognize their own bodies. Some understand their position in physical space. Others understand the intricate relationships within their social groups. And human beings, perhaps we carry the additional capacity to become aware of our own inner world. Yet all of us are traveling along the same path, the timeless journey of discovering who we are within an immeasurably vast universe. As night slowly settles across forests, grasslands, and oceans, somewhere an elephant still stands quietly beside water, as smooth as polished glass. A dolphin glides effortlessly past its own reflection beneath clear blue waves. A magpie tilts its head toward a shining image in the morning light. Perhaps none of them will ever ask philosophical questions in the way humans do. Yet each, in its own way, remains aware of its body, its surroundings, and its place within the great current of life. And perhaps the most beautiful lesson nature offers is not how many species recognize themselves in a mirror, but that every living creature possesses its own unique way of experiencing existence. As for us, the deepest mirror has never been made of glass. It lies within the human soul itself, where, as Jung so gently suggested, the journey of self-discovery continues until the very end of life. Part 9. Mathematical thinking. When most of us think about mathematics, we imagine numbers written across a blackboard, long equations, intricate geometry, or the great scientific achievements that have carried humanity into the depths of the universe. Mathematics has long been regarded as one of the highest expressions of human intelligence. We often assume that only a large brain, capable of language and abstract reasoning, can truly understand concepts such as quantity, patterns, or the distinction between something and nothing. Yet, the more carefully scientists have observed the natural world, the more they have uncovered a discovery that is both humbling and extraordinary. The earliest seeds of mathematical thinking may have appeared long before human beings ever learned to count upon their fingers. Perhaps nature never needed numbers written as symbols, but nature has always needed to know how much is enough, how many flowers still contain nectar, how many steps lead back to the nest, how many young require care, how many predators are drawing near. From one perspective, mathematics may not begin with calculations at all. It begins with recognizing order within the endless complexity of the world. If there is one creature that has astonished scientists in this field, it is the honeybee. A single honeybee possesses a brain containing fewer than 1 million neurons. So small, it could comfortably rest upon the head of a pin. By comparison, the human brain contains roughly 86 billion neurons. The difference seems almost impossible to imagine, and yet, size has never told the whole story. In a series of remarkable studies, honeybees demonstrated an ability to distinguish quantities and even process a concept that humanity itself required thousands of years to fully incorporate into mathematics: zero. Today, the number zero feels perfectly ordinary, but throughout much of human history, it represented one of civilization's greatest intellectual breakthroughs. Zero is not merely the absence of something, it is an abstract idea, a placeholder within the number system, one of the essential foundations of modern mathematics. Remarkably, experiments have shown that honeybees can learn to arrange quantities in numerical order and treat an empty set as representing a value smaller than a set containing one item. Of course, They do not understand zero in the way a mathematician does. Yet their behavior suggests that even such tiny brains can process surprisingly abstract concepts. It invites us to reconsider an ancient question: does intelligence truly reside in the size of a brain, or in the way that brain solves the problems life presents? Beyond recognizing quantities, honeybees possess another remarkable ability. As they travel across wide fields searching for nectar, they do not fly randomly. Research suggests that bees use landmarks to estimate distance: rows of trees, large rocks, distinctive features of the landscape. Each becomes a reference point, helping them navigate and remember the journey home. In a sense, they are counting, not with spoken numbers, but with the landmarks of the world. Each familiar point passed along the way becomes one unit of memory, one unit of space, one unit of the journey home. Perhaps this is something nature has always done remarkably well. Rather than inventing complicated calculations, nature creates systems that are simply sufficient for life to endure. Another fascinating story comes from newly hatched ducklings. Within a very short time after emerging from their eggs, they begin learning to recognize their mother through the process known as imprinting. Yet research has revealed something even more surprising. Ducklings can grasp a far more abstract concept: sameness and difference. In carefully designed experiments, ducklings were first introduced to pairs of objects that either matched one another or differed from one another. Later, when presented with entirely new objects they had never seen before, many still chose according to the abstract rule they had previously learned. The astonishing part is this: they were not remembering individual pictures. They were remembering relationships between pictures. That represents a remarkable step in cognition, because concepts are more abstract than objects themselves. When a brain begins recognizing patterns instead of simply memorizing individual things, it has moved beyond rote learning. It has begun understanding the underlying structure of the world. Perhaps this is precisely what humans do every day. We do not memorize every individual leaf before understanding the idea of a tree. We do not need to encounter every bird before understanding what a bird is. The human brain constantly searches for the patterns hidden beneath countless details. Nature seems to be doing exactly the same thing, only in very different ways. Carl Gustav Jung devoted many years to studying how the human mind organizes reality through symbols and recurring patterns. In Psychological Types, he wrote, "The psyche creates reality every day." For Jung, the mind does not merely reflect the external world. It actively organizes it, connects its pieces, and creates meaning from scattered experiences. When we observe honeybees or newly hatched ducklings, we glimpse a similar principle unfolding in simpler forms. The brain does more than receive information. It searches for order. It classifies. It compares, it predicts, and through that quiet process, it lays the first foundations of what we eventually call thought. Perhaps the greatest beauty of these discoveries is not proving that bees can do mathematics or that ducklings think like humans. Their deeper gift is reminding us that intelligence is not a ladder, with humanity standing triumphantly upon the highest rung while every other species occupies those below. Perhaps intelligence is better imagined as a garden. Each species cultivates different abilities, for different needs, under different circumstances. A smaller brain does not necessarily think less. It simply thinks differently. And sometimes, that difference itself is the greatest wonder. As night gently settles across the landscape, thousands of honeybees return to their hive after a long day flying above fields of wild flowers. Nearby, young ducklings quietly nestle beside their mother beneath the soft glow of the moon. Within that peaceful silence, it is almost impossible to imagine the countless invisible calculations unfolding inside those tiny brains each day. Distances to remember, quantities to distinguish, patterns to recognize, tiny decisions that quietly allow life to continue. Perhaps nature has never taught animals mathematics in the way humans learn it. Instead, nature has taught them something even more fundamental: to recognize order amid endless change. And perhaps that is where mathematics truly begins. not upon the pages of a textbook, but within the quiet effort shared by every living creature striving to understand and live in harmony with the vast universe we all call home. Part 10. Planning and Anticipation. Perhaps one of the abilities that has long made human beings feel different from the rest of the natural world is our capacity to think about tomorrow. We plan for next week. We prepare for winter. We save for years yet to come. Sometimes, we even imagine futures so distant that we ourselves may never live to see them. For centuries, this ability to project the mind forward has been regarded as one of intelligence's highest achievements. People once believed that animals existed only in the present moment, responding solely to whatever happened directly before them. Yet, as with so many discoveries in modern science, nature has quietly revealed a far more subtle story. Somewhere among forests blanketed with leaves, along towering cliffs, and beneath the silent waters of the sea, small brains are quietly preparing for events that have not yet happened. Perhaps the future does not exist only within the human imagination. Perhaps it appears in many different forms throughout the animal kingdom. If there is one creature that has compelled scientists to reconsider what planning truly means, it is the raven. In a series of remarkable experiments, ravens were given a choice between an immediate reward and a tool that would become useful only the following day. What astonished researchers was that many birds chose to keep the tool rather than accept the instant reward. It was as though they understood that the tool would eventually lead to something even better. This is more than simple self-control. It is the ability to weigh today against tomorrow, to distinguish between what is wanted now and what will be needed later. For a long time, humans have regarded the ability to delay gratification as a hallmark of mature thought. When observing ravens, we should not rush to conclude that they think exactly as we do. Yet it is clear that their minds are processing information far beyond an immediate reflex. Within temperate forests, the jay offers another remarkable story about preparing for the future. Every autumn, jays hide hundreds, even thousands of seeds to sustain themselves through winter. But what makes their behavior especially fascinating is this. If a jay realizes another bird has been watching while it hides its food, it may later return and secretly move part of its cache to a new location. A small action, yet beneath it lies an astonishing chain of thought. Someone has seen me. That individual may remember where I hid my food. My supply could be stolen. Therefore, I should change my plan. This ability requires more than excellent memory. It also requires anticipating the behavior of another individual. In a sense, jays are thinking not only about the world, they are thinking about what someone else might be thinking. High among the branches, squirrels perform equally remarkable strategies. When they suspect another animal is watching, some squirrels pretend to bury food. They dig a convincing hole, go through every motion of hiding a nut, carefully cover the spot. Yet, in reality, nothing has been buried there at all. Only after misleading potential thieves do they carry their food to a genuinely safe location. It is delightful to imagine a tiny brain performing an elaborate deception, not for entertainment, but to protect its own future. It is a sophisticated combination of memory, observation, and prediction of another individual's behavior. A form of thinking once believed to be exceedingly rare in the animal kingdom. Beneath the ocean's surface, the octopus offers another perspective on intelligent adaptation. While hunting, it rarely insists upon repeating a single unsuccessful strategy. If one approach fails, it may change position, alter its angle of attack, take advantage of surrounding terrain, modify its body coloration, or simply wait patiently for a better opportunity. Its behavior suggests something important. The octopus is not merely reacting through instinct. It adjusts its decisions according to the outcomes of previous attempts. Perhaps, planning does not always mean knowing exactly what will happen. Sometimes, it simply means preparing for several possibilities, so that when the world changes, we are able to change with it. Looking more broadly, every one of these stories reveals the same underlying principle. The future is always uncertain. Winter may prove harsher than expected. A hidden food cache may be discovered. A hunting strategy that succeeds today may fail tomorrow. The creatures that endure are not always the strongest. They are often the ones who know how to prepare, how to adapt, how to learn, and how to change when the moment demands it. Perhaps that is why evolution has never favored perfection. Nature favors adaptability. Carl Gustav Jung once wrote in Modern Man in Search of a Soul, "Life is not stopped by death, but completed by death." Although Jung was speaking about the psychological journey of human beings, his words also invite us to reflect upon time itself. Life is a continuous current flowing between past, present, and future. Human beings mature because we learn from yesterday while preparing for tomorrow. As we observe the behavior of ravens, jays, and octopuses, we glimpse a similar principle unfolding throughout nature. These animals do not exist only in the present moment. Yesterday's experiences quietly shape today's decisions, preparing them for tomorrow's uncertainties. Perhaps this offers a gentle lesson for us as well. Life rarely unfolds exactly according to plan. Not every intention succeeds. Not every road remains smooth. Yet true intelligence may not lie in predicting every future event with perfect accuracy. It lies in keeping the mind flexible enough to adapt when the unexpected inevitably arrives. Nature has practiced this wisdom for millions of years, not through flawless plans, but through countless experiments, countless adjustments, and countless opportunities to learn. As night gradually settles over the landscape, ravens carefully set aside the tools they will need tomorrow. Jays quietly revisit their hidden food stores before winter arrives. Squirrels skillfully erase every trace of their secret caches beneath fallen leaves. And deep beneath the sea, an octopus waits patiently for the perfect moment to change its strategy. Each creature is preparing for the future in its own unique way, not because it knows exactly what tomorrow will bring, but because life has always taught the same quiet lesson. Tomorrow belongs to those who observe, who remember, and who adapt. Perhaps that is the deepest message nature offers humanity. The future does not always belong to the strongest, nor even to the most intelligent. More often, it belongs to the minds flexible enough to change as the world itself changes. And tonight, as everything around us slowly settles into peaceful sleep, perhaps that quiet capacity for adaptation is gently growing within each of us as well. Parrots, emotions. Perhaps among all the qualities that have led humans to believe we are different from the rest of the natural world, emotion occupies a uniquely special place. We love, we long for one another, we grieve, we hope, we worry, and we comfort each other. We write poetry because of love. We compose music because of longing. We tell stories to heal the wounds carried within the soul. For a very long time, many believed that this rich inner world belonged only to human beings, while animals merely reacted according to instincts for survival. Yet the more quietly scientists observed nature, the more they discovered that behind those watchful eyes there is more than instinct alone. There are bonds formed over years. There is anxiety when companions are in danger. There is joy found in play. There are gestures of comfort and emotions that seem remarkably close to those we experience every day. Perhaps emotion is not what separates us from nature. Perhaps it is what reminds us that we belong to it. One of the most surprising discoveries of recent decades came from an unexpected source: rats. Yes, rats can laugh. Of course, their laughter sounds nothing like our own. It consists of ultrasonic vocalizations so high in frequency that human ears cannot hear them without specialized equipment. The pioneering work of neuroscientist Jacques Panksepp revealed that when rats are gently tickled or engaged in playful interactions, they emit these distinctive sounds and even begin seeking out the researcher's hand, eager to continue the game. A tiny creature, playing, expressing joy. It reminds us that happiness may not require language to exist. Perhaps joy emerges from something much simpler: safety, connection, moments when life can briefly forget its dangers. Across the vast grasslands of Africa, elephants tell a very different emotional story. When one member of the herd is injured, frightened, or loses a loved one, other elephants often approach quietly. They gently touch the distressed individual with their trunks, remain silently nearby, or stand together to offer protection. Some observations have even recorded elephants returning years later to places where members of their family died, carefully touching the bones with extraordinary gentleness. No one knows exactly what unfolds within an elephant's mind. Science is always cautious about drawing conclusions beyond the available evidence. Yet it is difficult to witness such behavior without sensing something profoundly familiar, something remarkably close to care and enduring attachment. Perhaps empathy was never humanity's invention. Perhaps it is a seed that nature planted long before we gave it a name. Even familiar animals such as cattle are gradually transforming the way we think about emotional lives in other species. Research shows that cows often develop close relationships with particular members of their herd. When they remain beside these preferred companions, their heart rates slow and physiological signs of stress decrease. When separated, they frequently become noticeably more anxious. It gently reminds us of something beautifully simple. Sometimes, peace does not come from a place. It comes from the presence of someone we trust. Within the tropical forests of Africa, bonobos continue offering one of nature's finest examples of emotional intelligence. After conflicts arise within the group, they often take the initiative to repair damaged relationships through friendly gestures, sharing food, or gentle physical contact. These actions do not erase what happened, but they prevent disagreements from becoming lasting fractures within the community. Perhaps, forgiveness is not merely a moral ideal. It is also a strategy that allows life to continue together. If bonobos teach us about reconciliation, dogs remind us of something equally extraordinary: the ability to sense another's emotions. After tens of thousands of years living beside humans, dogs have developed an extraordinary sensitivity to subtle signals in our voices, facial expressions, body posture, and even our scent. Numerous studies suggest they can distinguish whether a person feels happy, anxious, or distressed. Some dogs will even approach voluntarily, sit quietly beside their owner, or gently nudge them after sensing sadness. Perhaps the greatest miracle is not that dogs understand our language. It is that they understand what remains unspoken. Sometimes, a quiet presence is the deepest comfort of all. Carl Gustav Jung devoted much of his work to understanding emotion as an inseparable part of psychological life. In Modern Man, In Search of a Soul, he wrote, "Where love rules, there is no will to power. And where power predominates, love is lacking. The one is the shadow of the other." For Jung, love and human connection were never signs of weakness. They were among the greatest strengths of the soul. As we observe the animal kingdom, we begin to recognize that emotions are not unnecessary byproducts of evolution. They may be among its greatest achievements. Anxiety encourages parents to protect their young. Attachment keeps families and herds together. Empathy gives vulnerable individuals a greater chance of survival. Joy encourages learning through play. And reconciliation allows communities to move forward after conflict. Perhaps emotion has never stood in opposition to intelligence. Very often, emotion is intelligence. Nature has never divided the brain into two separate worlds, one of reason and another of feeling. The two have always flowed together. Wise decisions often begin with concern for someone else. Strong communities are built upon lasting emotional bonds. And an animal survives not only because it knows how to hunt or avoid danger, but because it knows how to remain connected with those around it. As night gently settles across forests and open grasslands, somewhere a family of elephants still stands quietly together. A faithful dog rests beside its lifelong companion after another ordinary day. Familiar cows find one another across the wide pasture. Bonobos have already left behind the day's disagreements before darkness arrives. And in hidden corners beyond human sight, tiny rats continue their playful games. filling the darkness with joyful sounds heard only by others of their kind. Nature has never been only a struggle for survival. It has also been a world of relationships, of quiet generosity, of emotions that have nurtured life through millions of years of evolution. Perhaps, once we understand that, we begin looking upon our own emotions with greater kindness. For the ability to love, to miss someone, to empathize, and to seek one another during difficult moments is not a sign of weakness. It may be one of the deepest expressions of intelligence that nature has ever bestowed upon the countless living beings who share this earth together. Part 12. Cooperation. Perhaps one of the greatest illusions of modern humanity is the belief that greatness always begins with a single extraordinary individual. We celebrate brilliant geniuses, inventors, heroes, visionary leaders. We often tell history as though it was shaped by only a handful of exceptional people. But if we quietly observe nature long enough, we begin to discover a very different truth. Very few living creatures can truly survive alone. Behind every thriving wolf pack, every bustling beehive, every pod of dolphins leaping through the sea, and every towering termite mound that stands for years, there is something invisible, yet immensely powerful. Cooperation. Perhaps, in the natural world, intelligence does not exist only within individual brains. It also exists between them, within relationships, within trust, and within the remarkable ability to create something together that no individual could ever accomplish alone. Across snow-covered landscapes and the forests of the north, wolves have long stood as symbols of teamwork. A lone wolf has little chance of bringing down massive prey such as a moose or a bison. But when the pack works together, every individual contributes in a different way. One tirelessly pursues from behind. Another circles wide to block the escape route. A third conserves its strength until the decisive moment arrives. No commands echo through the forest. No meetings are held. No plans are written down. There is only understanding, built over time, forged through countless hunts, refined through observation, strengthened by trust among members of the pack. What matters most is not the strength of the single strongest wolf. It is how perfectly the entire pack moves together. Across the African savanna, lions offer a remarkably similar lesson. The lionesses perform most of the hunting. When confronting swift and powerful prey, they rarely charge all at once. Instead, each quietly slips into position, gradually forming an elegant circle before the chase truly begins. Each lioness sees only one part of the picture, yet together, the pride completes the whole. Perhaps this is the essence of cooperation. No one does everything. Each contributes what it does best. Across the vast ocean, dolphins demonstrate an equally flexible form of teamwork. Many dolphin populations create rings of bubbles that gather schools of fish into tightly packed groups before taking turns swimming through the center to feed. Elsewhere, dolphins work together to herd fish toward shallow water, or cooperate to support injured, elderly, or struggling companions who need help reaching the surface to breathe. What surprises scientists is not merely the effectiveness of these strategies, it is their flexibility. No two situations are exactly alike, and with each new challenge, the dolphins quietly adapt together. Farther out at sea, humpback whales perform one of the most magnificent examples of collective hunting ever observed in nature. A group of whales swims in great circles beneath a school of fish while releasing spirals of bubbles that rise toward the surface like shimmering walls. The fish become trapped inside this living net. Then, in perfect synchrony, every whale surges upward with its mouth wide open. The spectacle is breathtaking, powerful, persists, like a symphony rehearsed over countless generations. No conductor stands before the orchestra, yet every movement becomes one. Perhaps nature perfected the art of teamwork long before humanity ever created organizations or businesses. If we lower our eyes to the ground, we discover an even more astonishing world. Tiny ants construct elaborate transportation networks, carry objects many times heavier than themselves, and rapidly redirect entire columns whenever conditions change. Most remarkable of all, there is no leader ant standing at the center issuing commands. Each individual performs only a tiny task, yet from countless small actions, a collective intelligence emerges. Scientists refer to this remarkable phenomenon as swarm intelligence. Simple rules followed by countless individuals combine to produce astonishingly complex behavior across the entire colony. Honeybees tell a similar story. Within a single hive, tens of thousands of bees carry out different responsibilities. Some care for developing larvae, others build the honeycomb, some defend the colony, others search for nectar when the colony must choose a new nesting site. Scout bees effectively debate by performing their famous waggle dances. Gradually, the entire colony arrives at a shared decision. No single bee imposes its will upon the rest. Here, consensus is born not from power, but from shared information. Termites astonish us in their own extraordinary way. Together, these tiny insects construct towering mounds several meters high. Inside are intricate ventilation systems that maintain remarkably stable temperatures and humidity throughout the year. Not one termite understands the entire architectural blueprint, yet together, the colony creates a structure that no individual could ever imagine alone. Perhaps, the greatest achievements do not always exist inside individual minds. Sometimes, they exist between minds that know how to connect. Carl Gustav Jung once wrote in The Structure and Dynamics of the Psyche, "The greater the number of individuals grouped together, the more their individual uniqueness is obliterated, and the greater is their collective unconsciousness." Jung offered these words as a warning that crowds can cause people to lose their individuality when they act without awareness. Yet as we observe the natural world, another perspective quietly appears. Among many animal societies, cooperation does not erase individuality, quite the opposite. Each individual preserves its own role, and it is precisely those differences that become the strength of the entire community. A wolf does not need to become a bee. A bee does not need to live like a dolphin. A dolphin does not need to build a termite mound. Every species contributes its own unique strengths, and together, that diversity becomes the beauty of cooperation. Perhaps this offers us a gentle lesson as well. We often believe that accomplishing something truly great requires every individual to become extraordinary. Nature seems to whisper a different truth. A forest does not grow from a single tree. An ocean is not created by a single drop of water. And a lasting community is not built by one perfect individual. It is built by countless ordinary individuals who trust one another, who complement one another, who quietly support one another. As night gently settles over mountains and forests, the wolf pack lies close together after a long hunt. Across the savannah, lionesses rest peacefully within the circle of their family. Far out at sea, dolphins and whales continue swimming together through the dark waters. Beneath the earth, ants and termites carry on their work without anyone giving orders. And inside the hive, thousands of bees quietly contribute one tiny drop of nectar at a time, creating a treasure that belongs to the entire colony. Nature has never claimed that individuals are unimportant, but neither has it ever asked one individual to carry everything alone. Perhaps the deepest strength of life has always emerged when many hearts, many minds, and many lives move together toward a shared purpose. And perhaps that is one of the most beautiful forms of intelligence our planet has quietly preserved for hundreds of millions of years. Part 3: Collective Intelligence. When we think about intelligence, we usually imagine a single brain. The more intelligent a creature is, we assume, the larger its brain must be, the more neurons it contains, and the better it can solve complex problems. For a very long time, this was how humanity understood intelligence. Then, quietly, nature offered a different answer. Some living creatures possess only the simplest nervous systems. Each individual is capable of only a handful of basic behaviors. Yet when thousands, or even millions, of those tiny individuals come together, they create systems capable of constructing enormous structures, solving remarkably complex problems, and adapting to changing environments in ways that continue to astonish scientists. Perhaps intelligence does not always reside within a single brain. Sometimes, it is born from the connections between countless smaller minds. When we watch a trail of ants moving across the ground, it is easy to think we are simply seeing a chaotic stream of insects. Each ant is tiny. None can see very far. None possesses a complete view of the surrounding world. And no single ant carries a map of the colony. Yet somehow, the colony still discovers the shortest route to food. It quickly reroutes when obstacles appear, and it successfully transports objects many times heavier than the weight of any individual ant. The remarkable part is this: there is no commander ant, no architect ant, no master strategist. Each ant simply responds to very simple signals from its immediate surroundings, especially the pheromone trails left behind by others. Yet millions of these tiny decisions, woven together, create an astonishingly efficient system for collective decision-making. A single drop of water does not create an ocean, but billions of drops together can create waves. Honeybees tell a remarkably similar story. A single hive may contain tens of thousands of individuals, each carrying out different responsibilities. Some nurse developing larvae. Some construct and repair the honeycomb. Some defend the colony. Others travel great distances in search of flowers before returning with nectar. What is especially fascinating is that no one assigns these jobs. There is no queen issuing commands. In reality, the queen bee's primary role is reproduction. She does not direct the daily activities of the colony. When a new nesting site must be chosen, scout bees fly out to investigate multiple locations. Upon returning, they communicate what they have discovered through the remarkable waggle dance, first carefully studied by biologist Carl von Frisch. The more suitable a location proves to be, the longer and more vigorous the dance becomes. Gradually, the colony reaches a shared decision, without a single individual imposing its choice upon everyone else. A collective decision, emerging from countless small voices. Beneath the ground, termite colonies construct structures that inspire equal admiration. Some termite mounds rise several meters high, containing elaborate tunnel systems, fungus gardens, storage chambers, and natural ventilation networks capable of maintaining remarkably stable temperatures despite dramatic changes outside. Most astonishing of all, not a single termite understands the complete blueprint. No individual carries a full map of the structure. Each termite simply performs a series of very simple actions based upon what it encounters directly around it. Yet as millions of these tiny actions accumulate over time, an entire city slowly emerges. Perhaps, the greatest wonders are not always born from extraordinarily complicated decisions. Sometimes, they emerge when simple rules are repeated with extraordinary patience. One of the most remarkable examples comes from the leafcutter ants of Central and South America's tropical forests. Millions of workers harvest large pieces of leaves and carry them back to the nest. Yet the leaves themselves are never eaten. Instead, they become the growing medium for a special species of fungus. That fungus becomes the true food source for the colony. Within this remarkable agricultural society, every individual contributes only a tiny part of the entire process. Some specialize in cutting leaves, others transport them. Some clean the plant material, others tend the fungus gardens. Still others defend the colony. No one performs every task, yet everyone contributes to life itself. As scientists observed communities like these, they developed a fascinating concept known as swarm intelligence. It describes how the simple behaviors of individual organisms interact to produce sophisticated problem-solving abilities at the level of the entire community. Today, this same principle has inspired advances in artificial intelligence, autonomous robotics, traffic optimization, and even the design of the internet itself. Nature conceived many of these ideas tens of millions of years before humans ever began writing computer code. Carl Gustav Jung once wrote in The Archetypes and the Collective Unconscious, "In addition to our immediate consciousness, which is of a thoroughly personal nature, there exists a second psychic system of a collective, universal, and impersonal nature, which is identical in all individuals. This collective unconscious does not develop individually but is inherited." Jung used the concept of the collective unconscious to describe the deepest layer of the human psyche, a realm of universal patterns shared by all people. Of course, the collective intelligence of ants or bees is not the same thing as the collective unconscious Jung described. Yet, as we observe these remarkable communities, we sense a closely related principle. Some forms of strength emerge only when many individuals become connected. The whole sometimes displays abilities that none of its individual members possess alone. Perhaps this is one of nature's gentlest lessons for humanity. We often become preoccupied with how intelligent we are, how talented, how exceptional, how different from everyone else. Meanwhile, nature seems to whisper something entirely different. A thriving community is not made powerful by one perfect individual. It grows stronger through countless ordinary individuals who know how to connect, to share, and to move together toward a common purpose. As night quietly settles over the forest, columns of ants continue following invisible highways marked only by delicate trails of scent. Inside the hive, thousands of tiny wings still beat softly in rhythm with life. Beneath the earth, termites patiently continue their work, though no individual fully understands the magnificent structure it helps create. And deep within distant tropical forests, endless rivers of leafcutter ants continue carrying fragments of green back to their underground gardens, nourishing an entire civilization one leaf at a time. Nature has never taught that intelligence must always shine through a single extraordinary individual. Sometimes, its greatest expression appears only when the self grows quiet. When each living creature faithfully performs its own small part, trusting countless others to do the same. Perhaps that is one of life's deepest secrets. Not every great achievement begins with one extraordinary mind. Many of the greatest wonders are born from millions of small hearts, quietly beating together. In harmony with the rhythm of nature, part 14, navigation and orientation. Perhaps every human being spends a lifetime on a journey. Some travel through bustling cities, some cross towering mountains and vast oceans. But there are also journeys that never appear on any map. The journey of finding ourselves, of searching for a place where we truly belong, or simply discovering a direction amid life's countless crossroads. Perhaps that is why the ability to navigate has always carried such profound meaning. We invent compasses, draw maps, build satellite navigation systems, and create technologies that can tell us precisely where we stand upon the earth. Yet long before any of these inventions existed, nature had already fashioned its own extraordinary navigators. Master sailors, master pilots, master explorers, living creatures capable of finding their way across thousands of miles using nothing more than memory, scent, sunlight, or the invisible magnetic fields surrounding our planet. Perhaps, for nature, finding the way has never been merely a skill. It is a condition upon which life itself depends. When speaking of remarkable navigation, pigeons are always among the first animals scientists mention. For centuries, humans relied on them to carry messages across immense distances. The astonishing part is this: even after being transported to places they had never seen before, they could still find their way home. Today, researchers believe pigeons do not rely upon a single navigational system. Instead, they integrate many different sources of information. The position of the Sunday, familiar landmarks, scents carried by the wind, and perhaps even the Earth's magnetic field itself. There is no map hidden within those wings. No compass concealed inside that small beak. Yet there exists an exquisitely refined navigation system, one shaped by millions of years of evolution. Within the darkness of caves, bats experience the world in an entirely different way. Rather than depending upon light, they emit ultrasonic calls and listen carefully to the echoes returning from nearby objects. Within fractions of a second, a bat's brain can determine distance, shape, direction of movement, and even the surface texture of an insect flying through the night. They do not see with their eyes. They see through sound. It reminds us of something profound. Not every creature experiences reality in the same way. Every species carries its own unique doorway into the world, far beyond the shoreline. Salmon tell one of nature's most extraordinary stories of returning home. After spending years roaming the open ocean, they swim upstream once more to the very rivers where they were born. They overcome powerful waterfalls, dangerous currents, and countless obstacles along the way. What guides them home? Research suggests that during the earlier stages of life, young salmon memorize the unique chemical signature of their native river. Years later, their remarkably sensitive sense of smell allows them to recognize that distinctive blend of scents among countless waterways. A single scent can preserve the memory of an entire lifetime. Perhaps humans are not the only creatures that remember home. Nature carries its own memories as well. Across the night sky, migrating birds undertake one of the greatest journeys in all of life. Every year, billions travel across continents and oceans in search of breeding grounds or warmer climates. What makes these migrations especially remarkable is that birds navigate not only by the sun during daylight. Many species also use the stars after darkness falls. Experiments conducted inside planetariums have shown that when the pattern of the stars is altered, the flight direction of certain birds changes as well. The stars are not merely beautiful to behold. For countless living creatures, they are the lighthouses of the sky. Across the sweeping grasslands of Africa, elephants possess astonishing spatial memories. Older matriarchs remember the locations of seasonal water sources, safe migration routes, and regions where danger once existed. During severe droughts, it is often these memories that allow entire herds to survive. This is more than memory. It is knowledge carried across generations. A map, stored not upon paper, but within the living experience of life itself. Even sharks, animals many people fear, possess remarkably sophisticated navigational abilities. Research suggests that numerous shark species can detect the Earth's magnetic field and use it as a natural guidance system during migrations, spanning thousands of miles across the open ocean. Human beings cannot see magnetic fields, but that does not mean they are absent. Perhaps, the world has always been larger than what our senses alone can perceive. As we reflect upon all these stories, we begin to recognize that successful navigation has never depended upon a single sense. Nature combines many streams of information: spatial memory, scent, the position of the sunday, the light of the stars, the Earth's magnetic field, and countless subtle environmental cues. No path is ever found by following only one signal. Carl Gustav Jung once wrote in Memories, Dreams, Reflections, "Your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakes." Jung was not speaking about finding one's way across a map. He was describing another journey altogether, the inner navigation of the soul. A person may know exactly where they stand upon the earth and still feel completely lost within their own life. Another may walk through endless hardship, yet never lose direction, because they remain deeply connected to what truly matters. Perhaps this is where science and psychology quietly meet. Animals navigate in order to return to the places that sustain life. Human beings spend a lifetime searching for the path back to their truest selves. Perhaps it is no coincidence that so many migrations throughout nature end where life first began. Salmon return to their native rivers, Migrating birds revisit familiar nesting grounds. Elephants find their way back to trusted watering places. Pigeons return to their humble nests after long journeys. It seems life carries within itself an instinct to return, not merely to a place, but to whatever first shaped its existence. As night gently spreads across the sky, flocks of birds continue their silent flights beneath the stars. Within the darkness, bats keep drawing invisible maps of the world through echoes alone. Far out across the immense ocean, sharks quietly follow the Earth's unseen magnetic pathways. Beneath the cold current, salmon patiently continue their journey upstream toward the birthplace of their lives. And across distant grasslands, elephant herds follow the memories preserved by their oldest members through countless seasons of rain and drought. Nature has never taught living creatures only how to move forward. It has also taught them how not to lose their way in a world that is forever changing. Perhaps that is the quiet lesson each of us spends a lifetime learning. We may not always know where the road ahead will lead, but we can still carry within our hearts an inner compass, one that gently reminds us what is true, what is good, and what is always worth returning to. Perhaps that is the most extraordinary form of navigation that life has ever bestowed upon both humanity and every other creature that shares this beautiful earth. Part 15. Learning from experience. Perhaps one of humanity's oldest beliefs about the animal world is this: animals live entirely by instinct. A bird builds its nest without ever being taught. A spider spins its web perfectly the very first time. A newly hatched sea turtle instinctively crawls toward the ocean. Images like these have long convinced us that the lives of animals are fully programmed from birth, as though every behavior had already been written into an unchanging script by nature itself. Yet the more carefully scientists have observed the living world, the more they have realized that this picture has never been complete. Alongside instinct, another quiet teacher accompanies countless species. A teacher who never speaks, never opens a classroom, never hands out books. That teacher is experience. And just like human beings, many animals change the way they behave after every success, every failure, and every encounter with the world around them. Perhaps instinct helps life begin, but experience helps life grow. One fascinating example comes from lobsters. Beneath the sea, disputes over shelter and territory are common. What researchers have discovered is that a lobster's behavior can change noticeably after a confrontation. An individual that has won a contest often becomes more confident during future encounters. One that has lost, by contrast, tends to behave more cautiously, avoiding unnecessary conflicts or choosing different shelters altogether. Not every response is written at birth. Some of them are written by life itself. Researchers have observed similar patterns in many species of snakes. Although much of a snake's hunting behavior is instinctive, studies suggest they can refine their strategies after unsuccessful attempts. Some learn to strike at more favorable moments. Others adjust their attack distance. Still others become more cautious when facing prey capable of defending itself. It reminds us that, even in silence, experience is quietly at work. No one can see it, yet it is present within every decision that follows. Along coastal tidal flats, crabs display equally remarkable learning abilities. After repeatedly encountering danger in a particular location, they may alter their travel routes, choose different feeding times, or respond more quickly to warning signals from their surroundings. This is no longer a simple reflex. It is memory, transformed into behavior, a lesson stored within the nervous system, so that next time, life has one more chance. One of the most captivating stories of learning through experience belongs to the archerfish, the master marksman of freshwater rivers. These remarkable fish are famous for shooting precise jets of water that knock insects from branches hanging above the surface. When they are young, their aim is often imperfect, but after countless attempts, observation, and adjustment, their accuracy improves to an astonishing degree. What makes this even more extraordinary is that light bends as it passes from air into water. The position the fish sees is not exactly where the insect truly is. To strike its target, the archerfish must constantly correct its aim, based upon the results of previous attempts. Perhaps not every talent appears at the beginning. Many extraordinary abilities are patiently refined through persistence. Monitor lizards have also surprised scientists with their capacity for memory and problem-solving. In numerous experiments, they have learned to manipulate simple mechanisms in order to obtain food, and can remember the solution for long periods of time. When presented with the same challenge again, they do not begin from the beginning. They remember, and that memory saves both time and energy while increasing their chances of survival. Even crocodiles, reptiles that have inhabited Earth for more than 200 million years, do not rely entirely upon instinct, as many once believed. Observations in the wild suggest they modify their hunting strategies according to the season, the type of prey, and changing environmental conditions. Some studies have even reported crocodiles balancing small sticks upon their heads during birds' nesting season, apparently attracting birds searching for nest-building material to come within striking distance. Much remains to be studied. Yet these observations suggest something remarkable. Flexibility exists in far more species than we once imagined. When we step back and consider all these stories together, a beautiful truth begins to emerge. Instinct is the first gift nature gives every creature at birth. But life does not end with that gift. Each passing day adds new lessons through experience. A single failure, a single success, a narrow escape, or the discovery of a new source of food. Any one of these can become a teacher. Carl Gustav Jung once wrote in Modern Man in Search of a Soul, "We cannot change anything unless we accept it." Jung was speaking about the growth of the human soul. He believed that every experience, even the most difficult, could become part of our development if we had the courage to accept it and learn from it. As we observe the animal kingdom, we glimpse the same principle unfolding in a quieter, more instinctive form. An individual does not have to repeat the same mistake forever. Life itself is gently reshaping behavior through every encounter with reality. Perhaps that is what makes life so extraordinary. Not because every creature is perfect, but because so many creatures can change. The ability to learn from experience has allowed life to adapt to a world that never stops changing. If every behavior were governed only by fixed instinct, countless species might never have survived shifting climates, changing food supplies, or newly emerging predators. Experience has become the bridge between past and future, between what has already happened and what is still to come. Perhaps human beings are no different. We do not grow because we have never fallen. We grow because every stumble changes the way we take the next step. As night slowly settles across the sea, lobsters quietly emerge from their shelters, carrying with them the lessons learned through countless encounters. Crabs continue their careful journeys across the sand, guided by memories of places that once proved safe. Archerfish patiently study insects resting upon overhanging branches, each shot more accurate today because of yesterday's countless adjustments. Monitor lizards and crocodiles quietly carry within their minds the wisdom that nature has taught them through life itself. Nature has never promised that the path to survival would be easy, but it has always given every living creature one extraordinary gift: the ability to learn from what it has experienced. Perhaps that is the greatest gift life has given all of us. Not so that we may become beings who never make mistakes, but so that after every experience, whether joyful or painful, whether successful or disappointing, we come to understand the world a little more deeply, and ourselves a little more completely. And perhaps those quiet lessons are what have been gently guiding every living creature forward. Through every season, every generation, and through the endless current of time itself. Part 16. Creativity and adaptation. Perhaps when we think of creativity, we picture the paintings of great artists, the symphonies of gifted composers, or the inventions that transformed human civilization. For many people, creativity seems like a gift reserved exclusively for humanity, a capacity that could exist only alongside language, imagination, and abstract thought. Yet, if we quietly observe nature long enough, we begin to realize that creativity may have appeared long before humans ever held a paintbrush or fashioned their first tools. In the living world, creativity does not exist to produce art. It exists to sustain life. Every new solution, every different hunting strategy, every successful response to an unfamiliar challenge reminds us that intelligence is not only about knowing what worked before, it is also about discovering a new path when the old one no longer leads to success. Perhaps, nature does not reward only the strongest creatures, nor does it always favor the most intelligent. More often, nature preserves those who know how to change. One of the most celebrated stories of creativity in the animal kingdom comes from crows. In several cities throughout Japan, researchers have observed crows carrying hard walnuts to busy intersections. The birds carefully place the nuts on the roadway, then patiently wait for passing cars to crush the shells, something their own beaks struggle to accomplish. When the traffic light turns red and the vehicles come to a stop, the crows calmly fly down to collect the exposed kernels. The remarkable part is not simply that they use automobiles as tools, it is that they have learned to adapt to a world entirely created by humans. No one taught them. No instinct evolved specifically to understand traffic lights. Yet, somehow, they found a solution. Perhaps, creativity begins at the very moment. A living creature sees an opportunity, where others see only an obstacle. Beneath the clear surface of freshwater streams, the archerfish continues astonishing scientists with its remarkable marksmanship. To bring down an insect perched above the water, it must fire a precise jet of water toward its target. Yet between the fish's eyes and its prey lies a significant challenge. The refraction of light means that the insect appears to be somewhere other than where it truly is. What makes this extraordinary is that, through experience, these remarkable fish gradually adjust the angle of each shot, the force of the water, and the exact moment they strike, until their accuracy becomes astonishing. They never solve equations in physics, yet their behavior quietly reflects those very physical laws. It is a beautiful reminder that nature does not always require formulas to understand the world. Sometimes, years of experience can lead to answers just as precise. Deep beneath the ocean, the octopus tells another remarkable story of creativity. It does not depend upon a single hunting strategy. When one approach fails, it changes position, alters its angle of attack, uses the changing colors of its body as camouflage, or patiently waits for another opportunity to appear. Perhaps the most admirable quality is this: it is not that the octopus never fails, it is that failure never decides forever how it will behave. Each time the environment changes, the octopus changes too, as though flexibility itself were its native language. High among the mountains of New Zealand lives the kea, one of the most intelligent birds on Earth. Researchers often present keys with puzzle boxes containing food hidden behind different opening mechanisms. What makes these parrots so fascinating is that they rarely repeat an unsuccessful strategy over and over again. Instead, they try different approaches, observe the outcome, adjust their methods, and continue experimenting. There are failures, there are successes, but one thing never disappears: curiosity. Perhaps curiosity is the quiet flame that has guided so much of life's progress. As we reflect upon these stories, a beautiful pattern begins to emerge. None of these animals creates simply to prove how intelligent it is. They become creative because circumstances demand new ways of surviving. The environment changes, food becomes scarce, new challenges appear, and those very pressures give birth to new solutions. Nature has never promised that tomorrow will resemble today. And so, nature never allows intelligence to remain still. Carl Gustav Jung once wrote in The Undiscovered Self, "The shoe that fits one person pinches another." There is no recipe for living that suits all cases. This is one of Jung's most profound insights. He believed there could never be a single formula capable of guiding every person through every circumstance. Each individual must discover a path uniquely suited to their own life. As we observe the animal kingdom, we encounter the same principle expressed in wonderfully natural ways. No strategy remains successful forever. No solution lasts for all time. What ensured survival yesterday may become useless tomorrow. That is why adaptability matters more than perfection. Creativity matters more than merely repeating what has always been done. Perhaps this is one of nature's greatest gifts to humanity. We often fear change because change is accompanied by uncertainty. Yet if we look back across millions of years of evolution, we discover that every great advance began when life dared to try something different. A crow placing a walnut on the road instead of struggling with its beak. An archerfish adjusting its aim after countless imperfect shots. An octopus changing its strategy rather than surrendering. A Kia continuing to explore despite not yet knowing the answer. None of them knows with certainty that success will come, yet every one of them is willing to learn something new. Perhaps that is the deepest origin of intelligence itself. As night gently settles across the forest, crows return to the high branches after another day spent observing an ever-changing world. Beneath calm waters, archerfish patiently practice shots that grow more accurate with every passing day. Among coral reefs, octopuses quietly change both color and strategy as circumstances demand. And high in the mountains, curious keys continue investigating every unfamiliar object they encounter. Nature has never required its creatures to be perfect from the beginning. What it quietly nurtures instead is the willingness to learn, to experiment, and to innovate whenever the world continues to change. And perhaps that is nature's gentlest lesson for each of us. Life is not a journey spent searching for one perfect answer to every question. It is a journey of keeping the mind open enough to discover new answers as the world transforms around us. Perhaps, as nature has quietly demonstrated for hundreds of millions of years, creativity is not the privilege of a few extraordinary geniuses. It is the enduring heartbeat of life itself, always finding a way to continue, always finding a way to adapt, and always discovering hope on the far side of every challenge. Part 17. Understanding humans. For a very long time, human beings have viewed the world from a rather unusual perspective. We observe animals, we study them, we give them names, and we try to understand how they think. But have we ever paused to ask the question in reverse? Are those same creatures observing us? Within the eyes of a dog resting quietly on the porch, a crow perched upon a branch, or a family of elephants silently crossing the savannah, what does a human being look like? Perhaps throughout the millions of years we have shared this planet, the relationship has never flowed in only one direction. We have learned to understand animals, but many animals have also been learning to understand us. Perhaps we are not the only observers. Nature has been quietly observing us as well. One of the discoveries that has astonished scientists most comes from crows. Long-term studies have revealed that crows can remember human faces for remarkably long periods of time. In one famous experiment conducted at the University of Washington, researchers wore distinctive masks while capturing and later releasing wild crows. Years afterward, those same masked faces were still recognized. Not only did the crows react to them, but they also produced warning calls and appeared to pass this information along to other members of the flock. A single face, a single experience, a single memory, preserved for years. Perhaps, within the memory of a crow, human beings are simply another part of the world, remembered, just as we remember them. Across open grasslands, horses demonstrate another remarkably subtle ability. Studies have shown that horses can read human facial expressions. When presented with an angry face, Their heart rates often increase, and they tend to examine the expression more closely with their left eye. A response associated with processing negative emotional signals within the equine brain. Gentle or happy expressions, by contrast, usually leave them calmer and more relaxed. It quietly reminds us of something beautiful. Some emotions never need to be translated into words. They travel, instead, through the eyes, across the face, within simple presence. Perhaps this is a language older than speech itself. If there is one species that has shared humanity's journey longer than any other, it is the dog. Tens of thousands of years living alongside us have created a relationship unlike almost any other found in nature. Dogs recognize familiar voices, but they do something even more remarkable. They understand human pointing gestures, a skill that even many non-human primates do not consistently demonstrate. When we point toward an object, dogs usually follow the direction of our hand. They understand that the gesture itself carries intention, not merely movement. This represents a profound step in social cognition. To understand a pointing gesture, an animal must recognize that another individual's action contains meaningful information about the world. Another fascinating story comes from goats. In problem-solving experiments, when goats were unable to open a box containing food on their own, many eventually stopped trying. Instead, they turned toward nearby humans, alternating their gaze between the box and the person's face, as though politely requesting assistance. What is especially remarkable is this: they know who is capable of helping them, and they know how to attract attention. Perhaps trust itself is another form of intelligence. Even cats, animals often described as independent and emotionally distant, continue to surprise researchers. Studies suggest that cats can distinguish their own names from other words, especially when spoken by someone familiar. They may not always respond by coming when called, but many display subtle movements of the ears, the head, or the eyes the moment they hear their name. Perhaps it is not that they fail to understand. Perhaps they simply choose whether to answer. Far away upon the African savanna, elephants continue astonishing scientists. Some studies suggest they can distinguish different groups of people by their voices and languages. They respond differently to voices belonging to people who have historically posed danger compared with those who are generally less threatening. It reveals something profound. Memory does not preserve only faces. It also preserves voices, experiences, and the meaning attached to those experiences. Perhaps, to an elephant, human beings are not classified by their names, but by what they have done. When we reflect upon all of these stories together, we begin to recognize that the relationship between humans and animals has never been merely one between observer and observed. It is a meeting between two different ways of perceiving the world. We learn to understand them. They learn to understand us. We remember them. They remember us. And within those memories, perhaps, both sides are quietly changing. Carl Gustav Jung once wrote in Modern Man, "In search of a soul, the meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed." Jung wrote these words about encounters between human beings. Yet, when we widen our perspective, they seem equally beautiful when applied to our relationship with other living creatures. Each time a dog learns to read the expression in its owner's eyes, each time a crow remembers the face of someone who treated it with kindness or cruelty, each time a horse finds calm within the gentle voice of its caretaker, both sides are being changed. It is not only animals that adapt to human beings. Human beings are also being taught by animals how to become gentler. Perhaps this is the deepest lesson nature wishes to share. We often believe that intelligence means understanding the world, but sometimes, true intelligence is the ability to understand what another living creature is feeling, what it hopes for, and what it is trying to communicate. To understand is more than simply to know. To understand is to build a bridge between two worlds. As night slowly settles across the landscape, crows continue their quiet watch over the city from the branches above. Dogs rest peacefully beside the companions they trust. Horses gently tilt their heads toward familiar voices. Cats lazily open their eyes when they hear their names softly spoken. And elephants continue carrying within their memories the voices that have become part of their lives through many passing years. Nature has never built an absolute wall separating human beings from every other species. Instead, it has quietly woven countless threads of connection through memory, emotion, trust, and shared experience. Perhaps that is why every way we treat another living creature leaves an imprint upon its mind, just as every encounter leaves its mark upon our own. And perhaps the true beauty of this planet does not lie in humanity standing apart from nature. It lies in the quiet truth that we can be seen, remembered, and understood by other eyes. Eyes that have been walking beside us throughout the long and wondrous journey of life. Part 18. Extraordinary senses. Perhaps from the time we were very young, we have naturally believed that the world we perceive is the world as it truly is. The blue of the sky, the songs of birds each morning, the scent of grass after the rain, or the light of distant stars shining through the night. Together, they seem to define reality itself. We grow up with 5 senses and unconsciously assume that every other creature experiences the same world we do, differing only in how keen those senses may be. Yet the deeper scientists explore nature, the more humbling a realization emerges. Human beings do not live in the world. We live only within the version of the world that our senses allow us to perceive. Beyond that version, countless other worlds exist, worlds invisible to us, yet vividly real to other living creatures. Perhaps, the world has never possessed only one face. Every species experiences its own unique universe, within the darkness of deep caves, or beneath a night sky without a trace of light. Bats continue flying with astonishing precision. They avoid branches as thin as a strand of hair, detect tiny insects in flight, and change direction in an instant. Their remarkable ability does not depend upon sight. It depends upon sound. Bats constantly emit ultrasonic calls beyond the range of human hearing. As those sound waves bounce back from surrounding objects, the bat's brain almost instantly constructs a detailed 3-dimensional map of the space around it. In a sense, bats do not see with light. They see with echoes. And that quietly reminds us, there may be countless ways of perceiving the world that human beings have never experienced. If bats inhabit a world shaped by sound, then dogs move through an ocean of scent. A dog's nose contains tens of times more scent receptors than our own. To a dog, every road, every forest, every room forms an extraordinarily rich landscape of smells. Research has also shown that dogs can detect subtle changes in human body odor when we are under stress, anxious, or afraid. Shifts in hormones such as cortisol and adrenaline produce chemical signals that their remarkably sensitive noses can perceive. Perhaps, when a dog quietly comes to sit beside you, it is not because it understands your words. It is because it senses what your heart is going through. Far out across the open ocean, salmon continue telling one of nature's most remarkable stories about the power of smell. After years spent wandering the sea, they still find their way back to the very river where they were born. Research suggests that every river possesses its own unique chemical signature, created by minerals, plants, and countless dissolved compounds within the water. As young fish, salmon memorize that scent. Years later, that memory quietly guides them home. A single scent can become a map. A single memory can guide an entire lifetime. Perhaps that is what nature has always done, preserving life within invisible signals. Across flower-filled meadows, honeybees inhabit yet another invisible world. Their eyes can detect ultraviolet wavelengths of light that human vision cannot perceive. To a bee, a flower is not simply yellow, purple, or white. Many blossoms display intricate ultraviolet patterns that remain completely hidden from our eyes. Those patterns act like arrows, silently guiding bees toward the richest source of nectar, which means when a human looks at a flower and when a bee looks at that very same flower, two living creatures are witnessing two entirely different worlds. One of nature's most extraordinary eyes belongs to the mantis shrimp. While humans possess 3 types of color-sensitive cells, mantis shrimp have many more kinds of light receptors and can even perceive polarized light, a form of visual information completely inaccessible to human vision. We often believe we already see the full richness of color, but perhaps we see only the tiny fraction our eyes are capable of receiving. Beyond our perception, there are still colors that throughout our entire lives we will never know. Sharks, too, inhabit a reality very different from our own. In addition to their famous sense of smell, many shark species can detect the faint electrical fields generated by the muscles and nervous systems of other animals. Special sensory organs called the ampullae of Lorenzini allow them to locate prey hidden beneath sand or concealed within cloudy water. A living creature can sense electrical signals that human beings cannot perceive at all. And that reminds us, reality has always been larger than our own awareness. As we reflect upon all of these examples, a beautiful truth slowly becomes clear. Nature has never created only one way of experiencing the world. Every species has been given its own unique window into reality. Some live through sound, some through scent, some perceive ultraviolet light, some detect electrical fields, others navigate by the Earth's magnetic field. No single world is more correct than another. There are only different ways of experiencing the same universe. Carl Gustav Jung once wrote in Psychological Types, "Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves." At a deeper level of Jung's thought, every person perceives reality through a unique psychological structure. No one sees the whole truth. Each of us perceives only part of it through the lenses of consciousness and the unconscious. When we place that insight alongside the animal world, another beautiful realization emerges. Perhaps different ways of perceiving reality are not limitations at all. They are expressions of life's extraordinary richness. Human beings are not incomplete because we cannot see ultraviolet light. Bees are not lesser creatures because they cannot read books. Every species has been born to understand the world in the way life requires of it. Perhaps this is the final gentle lesson nature wishes to offer us. We often believe that what we see is the whole truth, but perhaps the truth has always been far greater. Every human being, like every other creature, walks through a world shaped by unique senses, unique memories, and unique experiences. Once we understand that, perhaps we will become less eager to judge what differs from ourselves, and more curious about perspectives we have never known. As night gently settles over the forest, bats continue drawing invisible maps of darkness through echoes alone. Dogs rest quietly beside the people they love, sensing the subtlest changes in every breath. Far out at sea, salmon still follow the scent of their native rivers, while sharks silently detect invisible electrical signals flowing through the deep water. Across flowering fields, honeybees travel from blossom to blossom, guided by ultraviolet patterns the human eye will never see. And among tropical coral reefs, mantis shrimp continue gazing upon a world far more vibrant than anything we can imagine. Nature has never created only one reality. Instead, it has created countless realities, each revealed through different senses, different ways of perceiving, and different forms of knowing. Perhaps the greatest wonder is not that one species sees more or less than another. The true wonder is that all of us, human beings and every other living creature, share the same vast universe, yet each life is given the opportunity to discover it in a way that is entirely its own. And perhaps it is that extraordinary diversity that makes this world so profound, so mysterious, and so breathtakingly beautiful. Part 19. There is no single measure of intelligence. After traveling together through dense forests, across the deepest oceans, over endless grasslands, and beneath star-filled skies, perhaps we begin to realize that nature's greatest wonder is not discovering which species is the most intelligent. The true wonder is that every living creature carries its own unique way of understanding the world and finding its place within it. For centuries, human beings have instinctively placed themselves at the center of every comparison. We have measured the intelligence of other species by their ability to use language, build tools, solve mathematical problems, or create civilizations. Yet the deeper modern science advances, the more we begin to recognize that perhaps it is the question itself that deserves to be reconsidered. Perhaps the question is not, which species is the most intelligent, but rather, in what way is each species intelligent? For a very long time, a large brain was considered the unmistakable sign of superior intelligence. And yet, we discovered honeybees, whose brains are scarcely larger than a sesame seed, capable of distinguishing quantities, grasping the concept of zero, and communicating the location of flower fields through astonishingly precise dances. We encountered ant colonies with no single leader, yet capable of constructing systems so sophisticated that modern engineers continue studying them. We watched salmon travel thousands of miles back to the very rivers where they were born, and bats creating detailed maps of darkness using nothing but echoes. If language were the measure of intelligence, human beings might stand above all others. But if navigation through sound became the standard, bats would surpass us with ease. If intelligence were measured by the ability to perceive scent, a dog's nose would reveal a world beyond anything we could imagine. If the ability to sense magnetic fields became the test, migrating birds would become the greatest navigators on Earth. Perhaps every measurement captures only one small fragment of what we call intelligence. Nature never created species to compete in a contest over who is superior. Each one has been shaped through millions of years of evolution to solve the unique challenges of its own environment. The octopus must adapt to an ocean that never stops changing. Wolves must cooperate to bring down large prey. Honeybees must remember hundreds of different flowers. Archerfish must continually adjust their aim to compensate for the refraction of light. And human beings must cooperate, communicate knowledge, and build culture across generations. None of these abilities is more noble than another. They are simply different, because life asks different questions of every living creature. Within evolutionary biology, scientists often emphasize a profound principle. No trait is the best under every circumstance. A characteristic becomes valuable only when it fits the environment in which it evolved. An eagle's wings are masterpieces of the sky, yet beneath the ocean they would become a burden. Gills allow salmon to flourish underwater, but they offer no advantage in the desert. Perhaps intelligence is much the same. It does not exist as an absolute title. It is always connected to the challenges that life must overcome. This reminds us of one of humanity's most common mistakes. Without realizing it, we often use ourselves as the measure of everything else. Once, we believed only humans could use tools. Then crows and chimpanzees challenged that belief. We once believed only humans could plan for the future. Then ravens quietly invited us to think again. We once assumed empathy belonged exclusively to our own species. Then elephants, bonobos, and dogs began telling very different stories. It is not because animals have suddenly become more intelligent. It is because human beings are learning to observe with greater humility. Carl Gustav Jung once wrote in Memories, Dreams, Reflections, "The least of things with a meaning is worth more in life than the greatest of things without it." In Jung's philosophy, value does not arise from ranking things according to a single standard. It arises from the meaning each thing possesses within its own context. When we place those words beside the natural world, another beautiful lesson emerges. A honeybee does not need to become human for its life to possess meaning. A whale does not need to write books to be extraordinary. An ant does not need to recognize itself in a mirror to build communities that continue astonishing the world. Every living creature is complete in the way nature created it. Perhaps the greatest gift of modern science has not been discovering which species is the smartest. Its greatest gift has been teaching us to let go of that question altogether. Instead, we have become curious about forms of intelligence we once failed to recognize. There is the intelligence of memory, the intelligence of cooperation, the intelligence of patience, the intelligence of adaptation, the intelligence of emotion, the intelligence of extraordinary senses, and perhaps many more forms of intelligence still waiting to be discovered. Jung repeatedly reminded us that genuine maturity begins when we accept that the world is larger than our own ego. Perhaps the same is true of how we see nature. As long as we place ourselves at the center of every measurement, we will notice only what resembles ourselves. But the moment we step beyond that perspective, an entire universe of different possibilities begins to appear. Not to prove that humanity is small, but to remind us that life is far richer than our imagination alone has ever been able to conceive. As night slowly settles over the forest, wolves once again begin their hunt through flawless cooperation. High above, migrating birds quietly follow the stars across the darkness. Deep beneath the ocean, octopuses continue changing their strategies to match every new challenge. Honeybees still navigate toward blossoms through ultraviolet patterns invisible to human eyes, and bats continue flying effortlessly through the night, guided by maps drawn entirely from echoes. Not one of these creatures is trying to become something else. Each is simply living fully, with the gift nature has entrusted to it. Perhaps that is the gentlest lesson this entire journey has been leading us toward. Intelligence is not a podium where species compete to stand higher than one another. It is more like a vast forest, where every tree grows toward the light it receives. Every river follows the landscape through which it flows, and every living creature carries its own unique way of meeting life's challenges. Once we truly understand that, perhaps we will stop asking which species is the most intelligent. Instead, we will begin looking upon the world with curiosity, with gratitude, and with a quiet humility before the endless beauty of life upon this extraordinary planet. Part 20. The beauty of intelligence in the animal world. And now, after traveling together through dense forests, endless grasslands, the depths of the oceans, quiet rivers flowing toward the sea, and the vast night skies where migrating birds still faithfully follow the stars, our journey is gently reaching its final pages. Perhaps when we first began this story, many of us believed that intelligence was a ladder, with human beings standing upon its highest rung. But the more patiently we listened to nature, the more carefully we observed its smallest creatures, and the countless wonders hidden within ordinary moments, the more we realized that the world has never been arranged that way. Nature did not build a ladder for species to compete over who stands highest. Nature is more like a vast forest, where every living creature grows in its own way, carrying a unique gift for meeting the challenges that life has placed before it. Perhaps that is the most beautiful lesson nature has quietly been teaching us all along. Intelligence has never worn only one face. Throughout this journey, we met crows that remembered human faces for years and devised remarkably creative solutions to unfamiliar problems. We met wolves whose survival depended upon extraordinary trust and cooperation, honeybees communicating through elegant dances, ant colonies constructing entire civilizations without a single leader. We followed salmon swimming upstream toward the rivers of their birth, guided only by memories carried in scent. We flew through darkness beside bats that perceive the world through echoes, and we quietly watched octopuses change their hunting strategies whenever the world around them changed. Every story was different, yet together, they all told the same truth. Life always finds its way. We discovered that memory does not belong only to the human mind. It lives within elephants that remember hidden water sources after years of drought, within birds that recall migration routes stretching thousands of miles, and within tiny creatures that never forget the places where life first began. We discovered that cooperation is not unique to human society. It exists in every coordinated step of a wolf pack, within the carefully planned hunts of lionesses, among whales protecting vulnerable members of their pods, and inside insect colonies where every individual quietly contributes to the survival of the whole. We also discovered that planning, learning from experience, and adapting to change are not privileges reserved for large brains. Crows storing food for tomorrow, archerfish patiently refining every shot, curious keys endlessly experimenting with new solutions, octopuses changing their strategies whenever circumstances demanded something different. Perhaps intelligence is not about knowing more, it is about adapting so that life may continue. Yet perhaps the discoveries that touched our hearts most deeply were not those involving problem-solving at all. What moved us most was discovering how many species genuinely care for one another. Elephants remaining beside injured companions, rats helping free trapped friends, dogs sensing human sorrow, whales supporting weaker members of their pods, bonobos resolving conflict through affection rather than violence. Here, intelligence is no longer merely the ability to think, it becomes the ability to connect, to care, to help another living being live a better life. And as we widened our perspective still further, we realized that every species inhabits its own remarkable world of perception. Bats journey through oceans of sound, dogs read the world through scent, honeybees see ultraviolet patterns hidden forever from human eyes, sharks perceive invisible electrical signals flowing through the sea, migrating birds navigate by the Earth's magnetic field and the stars above. No world is more complete than another. Each one is opened through its own unique senses, and because of that, everyone deserves our wonder. Perhaps this is also where we return to the wisdom of Carl Gustav Jung. In Memories, Dreams, Reflections, he wrote, "Your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakes." Jung was inviting us not only to explore the depths of our own souls, he was reminding us that genuine maturity begins with humility before all that we do not yet understand. As we entered the world of other living creatures, we experienced much the same journey. At first, we observed nature in search of answers, but the farther we traveled, the more we discovered that nature was quietly asking us new questions. What truly makes intelligence? What gives a living being its value? What makes life so extraordinary? Perhaps there has never been only one answer, and perhaps that is exactly what makes this world so beautiful. Across hundreds of millions of years of evolution, nature has never tried to create a single perfect design. Instead, it has created countless different paths. The path of memory, the path of cooperation, the path of patience, the path of creativity, the path of emotion, the path of communication, the path of compassion. Though every path is different, they all lead toward the same destination, helping life continue to flourish upon this small blue planet we all call home. Perhaps that is the gentlest lesson the living world offers us, not so that humanity feels smaller, but so that we may live with greater respect, greater gratitude, and greater humility. Now that night has grown truly quiet. Perhaps somewhere beyond your window, an owl still watches silently over the forest. Bats continue crossing the sky upon invisible echoes. Beneath the sea, schools of fish quietly continue their endless journeys through the deep. Across distant grasslands, elephant families still follow memories carried across generations. And somewhere among the trees, A crow quietly remembers the faces of the creatures it has encountered along its path. The world is still awake, in its own beautiful way. And you? Perhaps it is finally time for your own mind to rest. Let today's thoughts become as still as a quiet lake after the wind has faded. Let these stories of the living world gently dissolve into your dreams, like distant stars slowly disappearing into the night. And perhaps, when the dawn of a new day arrives, you will awaken with a more peaceful heart, a humbler way of seeing, and a deeper love for the extraordinary life that surrounds you every day. May your night be filled with peace. May your dreams be as gentle as leaves whispering in a forest breeze, as deep as the ocean at slack tide, and as warm as the first rays of sunrise touching a world forever filled with quiet wonders. Thank you for allowing me to accompany you throughout this journey. If these small stories from nature have brought even a little peace to your heart, I warmly invite you to subscribe to the channel, so we may meet again on another quiet evening to continue exploring the hidden mysteries of the mind, of nature, and of what it truly means to be alive. Sleep well.